All right, gentlemen, we're live with a freshly fed Urijah Faber. Yeah. No more dieting, no more weight cutting. Is this his mic on?
Hello?
There we go. Now
there it is.
Yeah, just pull that sucker up to you.
Got
and Cody motherfucking Garbrandt.
Finally made it.
Yeah, here. Gentlemen, what's happening?
Just chilling. We had a nice little beach run, and I jumped in the ocean. Cody kept his shoes on and all that good stuff.
You still got a mouthful of those green belly bars, don't you? You're still tucking in your mouth like a squirrel. Look at him.
Checked away.
These teeth are special too. That have like pockets in here. I need to floss like twice a day. This guy was making fun of me. He's like, bro, you've been brushing your teeth for 20 minutes.
20 minutes straight brushing his teeth. I brushed my teeth, came, walked out, and then I was like, man, he's still brushing his teeth. Made me have to second guess stuff that I brushed my teeth long enough to have to go in there and do it again. Just brushing away. Like, I got big teeth,
I never
man.
had braces or anything, so I've got like all these natural little gaps. It's like I'm like a squirrel. My food gets stored up in there. I got to get it out.
I understand. How does it feel to not have to worry about, we were talking about this before the podcast, not have to worry about weight cutting anymore, to be able to eat healthy, not banged up anymore?
Man, it's been really, really nice. I always kind of envisioned after even wrestling in college, like having a break, and then, I went 14 years longer fighting people. But, I mean, it is really nice to be able to, you go train. I train when I want to, but I don't do the stuff I don't want to. I get in and do the grappling rounds and whatnot, but I just feel so much better. And I think I look healthier.
You do look healthier, but you made out of retirement perfect. You know what I mean? Like, you had a long career, but you didn't get too banged up. Like, you picked the right time. You went out with a win with a quality opponent, like, right off into the sunset.
I know, man. I don't know. I was a little luck, a little bit of... It just felt right, though. You know what I mean? The last fight, it went out to, 5 million people on Big Fox. It was the first fight in my hometown in the new arena that's like the heart and like revived our town. We had Cody fighting for the belt, like coming right up, and it was just perfect, man. It was really perfect.
You timed it good. You timed it good. It's nice. It's nice to see someone do it the right way, and I hope other guys coming up can learn from you in that regard.
Well, one of the things I thought about was, first and foremost, like, I've been rocked more in the last 2.5 years of my practice and live fights than I had in my entire career, which is, a lot of different factors. Probably, how many times you're rolling the dice. You get hit in the head a bunch of different times. Things are loosening up a little bit. You're getting a little bit older. Guys are getting better. I got Cody Garbrandt's in the gym, and Chad Mendez's, and Lance Palmer's, these guys that hit heavy. So, I was just like, that's one factor. Then I lost 2 fights in a row for the first time in my career ever, even though it was a decision to Dominic and a decision to, what's his name?
Riviera.
Jimmy
Rivera. And it was like kind of lackluster losses, but nonetheless, it's like, just like, you know what, I'm not going to, I'm gonna call this one in a good time. Smart,
very smart, man. And I really do hope more guys learn, and pay attention to how you did it and do it the right way. Because, like, how do you guys feel about, like, you're seeing, like, a lot of these guys are going over to Bellator, and I think Bellator has signed some really good fighters, like Rory McDonald, Lorenz Larkin, and they've got, Gegard Mousasi. They got some great talent over there, but they also have guys that are, late 40s, 50s, still banging it out.
Stuff.
Yeah, freak show stuff.
For me, we always talk about this. I told Urijah, I said, hey, if I start getting fucked up in there, knocked out, like, I'm going to keep fighting. Like, make sure that you pull me away from it. Like, be the homie that says, hey, sits me down, like, hey, let's do a different career path. If I always say that, that's one thing I always say. We're fighters. We're always going to fight through it. And obviously a lot of different reasons, financially, or sometimes it's just hard to walk away. What do you do when, the next chapter of your life? People don't set that up. Luckily, I'm fortunate. I have a lot of, good people around me. So, I'll have different avenues to go, and I always tell them, hey, if I start getting fucked up in there, stop me. Tell me I'm done.
It's also important to understand that the kind of intensity and focus that's required to be a great fighter, you could do anything. You really
absolutely
can.
just apply it.
Yep, just apply it. Just figure out what that next thing is going to be and go at it the same way you went at your championship career.
Yeah. I always tell these guys, we do talks before and after practice, and it's like a feather in the cap mentality. Like, we've got guys in there that won't see the UFC daylight. They'll never step foot in the octagon, but they get a little bit of pride, whether it was one day, or it was 10 years, or whatever, of being a part of that team. And that's something they add to their life. They take on with the next thing. Somebody just comes in for a week. Some guys are going to be, make it to the big show. Some guys are going to be world champions. Some guys are going to be Hall of Famers, you know, and that's whatever your journey is. That's a proud thing you can put in the feather in the cap and move on to whatever you're doing next. But it's a bigger picture, and it's like, journey's never over. It's just always changing. You know
what do you do for a guy like Lance Palmer, who's a real world-class guy, but he's fighting in, what do they call it now? It's not World Series of Fighting anymore. They have a new name for it, right? What is it?
Did they change the name?
Yeah, it's like Real Pro Fighters or something like that.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the problem is nobody's watching. Very few people are watching. But he's a real world-class professional fighter. Like you see when Justin Gaethje came over to the UFC, you realize, like, hey, this fucking kid is world-class.
Right.
And he's been fighting in an organization that no one's watching.
Right. Well, I mean, the hard part about that is, like you said, you got a Gaethje and you got a Lance Palmer. They're still fighting tough-ass dudes over there.
Yeah.
So it's the same level of competition sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes even worse. You know, when they get all the Russians over in Bellator, like, those Russians are tough, dude.
Fuck yeah.
You know, so, like, for Lance, we just have to exit him at the right opportunity.
Right.
He has to get on a little winning streak and be at the right time in his contract and be able to jump out and go to the big show. But it's hard because he's fighting these tough guys. Like the last guy he lost to, he broke his hand in the first round, and then he's fighting a tough guy, and it's like, oh, he lost in this show. He lost against a world-class dude, and he's a world-class fighter. So, you know, it's hopefully just something where he can make that transition over.
How do you guys feel about win-lose, like, paydays? Like, one thing that bothers me about MMA is that MMA, if you win, you get a certain amount, and if you lose, you get less. I feel like I feel like you should have a contractual amount that you get paid. And I feel like when you're leaving it up to the judges sometimes, and the judges, I mean, I'm sure both of you guys have been involved in, you know, at least teammates getting terrible calls.
Oh.
And you've seen it, and you go, what in the fuck? You know, like, look, even in boxing, the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight, two of those judges had Conor only winning one round.
Yeah, how they're
It's crazy.
smoking crack.
They're crazy.
I was looking around at those judges too. They were very familiar. Some of them were MMA judges also.
Right. There's a lot of them that did that. They started with boxing, and then they learned a little bit about MMA, and then they came over and started judging MMA. But there's a lot of them that literally don't know what they're judging or know very little about it, and your career could be, you mean, you might have 100 and 100. So $100,000 swing on someone who doesn't know jack shit, right?
Oh, it's terrible,
That's
dude.
crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess for me as a fighter, I look at it like, oh, it's rewarding, you know.
Right.
But then in the opposite scale of it, you can be on that losing call and horrible call, the ref screw you. But I don't know, for me, it's MMA is so pure. Like, it's the most pure thing to do. So you got to go in there and fight for 2 checks or more. You're training. You come out with 2 checks. I don't know, you lose. It's
For me, I honestly, and I always remember getting a check afterwards, especially when I first started. I was like, oh yeah, I got paid for this. Like, literally, like, it had nothing to do with the money at all. And then you got that check, and then you're like, oh man. So if you're doing it for the right reasons, it should be, just get your set amount. I think that is to warrant against the guys that are doing it for the wrong reasons.
I think it was a good motivation at first, or a good idea
when they're trying to build it.
But now it's not. We're not building it anymore. Now it's a world-class professional sport. And, you know, I remember Uriah when you were fighting in King of the Cage, dude, outside.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That's the first time I saw you fight. I think you were fighting 55, too.
Yeah. I had to start. I mean, there was no weight class for me at that time.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I was all pumped because Rogan knew who I was because he followed all the underground shit. I was super self-aware of, like, how much my notoriety was and, like, the bigger show because YouTube, I started looking on there and I'd be like, I only have, like, 1,500 people watching my shit on here. And then Kid Yamamoto has, like, 250,000. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, well, I was fighting. I mean, I fought Tyson. My first loss was against Tyson Griffin in Canocti Casino in the parking lot, and I hit him, like, kneed him, inside tripped him, and did a head dive into the steel pole and just gashed my head open like 8 seconds into the fight, and I'm just pouring down blood.
I remember that. They didn't even have padding on the pole.
Well, they were supposed to do it, but the crew was running out of time, so they didn't even take the time to put the padding on the bottom level. They just put the clear, like, fake leather on the top of it. And I'm just fucking gushing blood, man. I think we talked about this last time I was on your show.
No, I think we did.
Paved the way, man.
Yeah, for real, paved the way.
That was a terrible way to pave the way. Fuck that.
But like I said, a lot of guys can learn from you, and I think it's good, man.
Thank you.
What's it like, training in his gym? And like, when did you come here? You came there like 3 years ago? 4?
Yeah, about going on 4 now.
Almost 4 years.
I came out. I was off an injury. I had symptom of vertigo from like small concussions, and I broke my hand in my pro debut. So I had like a whole year layoff. And I always reached out to Urijah. Lance was out there, so I knew Lance. Wrestling him and his brother throughout our wrestling careers. He's like always came and wanted me to come out there. Finally hit Faber up when I was 18. About, hey, I'm gonna come out, check the gym out, see if it's a good date. He ended up hitting me back. It wasn't until like 4 years later I was able to make the trip out there. Like I said, I had a year off. I was like, dude, I'm not wasting any more time. I know I'm good. I want to see how good I am with some of the best in the world. I mean, they had all those killers out there. They had TJ, Chad, Faber, Joe, Danny. I mean, and then Chris was on. Holdsworth was on. Getting.
He just won the Ultimate Fighter.
That's a bad dude right there.
Dude,
yeah.
Chris,
how's his head doing?
Uncrowned champ, bro. I'm telling you, uncrowned champ. He's doing okay. I think it made him look at things a lot different, and he's like a gem in the gym. He's a coach for us, and just like everybody just soaks up what he's got.
And is he just going to stick with coaching now, or is he thinking about fighting
so,
in the
man.
future?
There's always an option.
How old is Chris?
He's
27.
Still young.
Very young.
And he's been off for what, 2 years now?
Almost longer.
Was that when TJ won the belt was his last fight? They fought in the same card, so.
And so he was dealing with some concussion issues.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, remember TJ Grant was going to fight Benson Henderson for the title, started getting some concussion issues.
Holdsworth would have it where I'd look at him and one of his eyes would be all black and one would have like a little skinny dot in the middle. And I'd be like, dude, what's going on? And he'd be like, but like Holdsworth is like weirdo. Master Tong always used to say, hey, TJ champion, 80%. Holdsworth champion, 100%. He was like, he would never come to our team gatherings. He wouldn't go to the river. He wouldn't do anything. He was like just all about training, like almost like a problem, But that's what happened to BJ Penn when BJ Penn won the BJJ World Championship, the first American to do it. And like you get an obsession, and he was just vision, had this obsession to be the best. He was knocking guys out on accident in practice, high kicks and knees, with knee pads on, like just because he's good all the way around. But his jiu-jitsu is the top. Yeah,
super good. And I remember coming out there and with all those guys, like a year layoff, and I was like, man, I'm gonna see how good I am. So I went out there and mixed good with the guys, and had a fight lined up. Like I have a fight in 2 weeks, so I literally went out there for a week. Faber came in the last day that I was there and like matched me, like put me through the gauntlet with all these Team Alpha Male guys. It was wrestling day, so I was going with these guys, and we walked off the mat, and he's like staring me up and down, looking at my tattoos. He's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to fight in the UFC and be world champ. And he's like, all right. And he's like, when can you come back out? I'm like, I'll be back out next week. And I'm sure hundreds of thousands of guys have been in there and said the same shit to him. So I was like, I'll be back out. Came out, the week after. We shook handshake. He's like, all right, man. He's like, get to 5-0 and we'll get you to the UFC. And just every fight I was saving up, I would fight. We came out there for a week, did a camp, knocked him out, flew back, suitcase, was staying at the fighter house. It was like 12 people in there from Japan, Canada, all over. It was just, man.
You have a weird setup, right? Like, do you still have that block in Sacramento?
The block of houses, that's how our team got built. And that was like, I bought a house in the time of the market where anybody could buy a house, like state income loan. And I'm like, I'm going to buy a house. I bought like
pre-2008? Like before the crash?
Yes, before the crash. It was 2005 or 4 or 5. And I had no job, no income really. I was coaching wrestling camps, and I was getting like $7,000. But you could do it. My Egyptian buddy was doing loans, and he's like, I get you a loan. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, state income, do this, do that, work history because you're coaching now and you went to school as a teacher. It's a 2-year, like all these different things. I didn't know that's the reason our whole economy crashed. But I was able to get a fucking...
Well, it worked with you.
A loan. Yeah, it worked for me. I never defaulted. I just moved all sorts of buddies in there. I started... on that block of houses, we had probably probably 45 people that went through there. Chad lived there, TJ lived there, Justin Buckles lived there, Master Tong lived there, Fabio Prado, our coach, lived there. Like, we had 4 or 5 houses. At this point, we've been selling them off, so we all hopefully now the sport's at a place where we can be in a nicer neighborhood. So we're all trying to get in the same neighborhood in East Sac, the Fabulous 40. So
that's the nice neighborhood in Sacramento.
That's the new block.
Yeah, Sacramento's an interesting spot because you guys are like surrounded by, it's kind of country in a lot of way. You know, there's like the
small
rivers
town
there.
Feel,
Yeah. It's like
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love Sacramento.
A lot of outdoors activities.
Tahoe's close, San Fran.
Yeah.
Hour away.
Yeah, you guys, it's a good spot. It's a good centrally located spot.
And I mean, that's what I always say, and I think Cody, like, you know, as rough as Cody's background was, he had a core, like a town that, like, rewarded him for being a champion athlete from football, from wrestling, from boxing, etc. And there's a heart to it. That's why I feel like Cody's such a good person in general. Like, when you get Cody, like, you know, dealing with people and individuals walking on the street, he's like a gentleman and like has a heart for the kid, you know, his kids that have disabilities, you know, these kind of things. That comes from that small town where there's accountability, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, you know, you're a good part of the community, you know, that's it. So I think Sacramento has a big enough city, but a small enough town feel for that, which you lose some other places.
Yeah, definitely. All the like little mom and pop shops we go to, like all big Team Alpha Male fans, we get a discount. It's like almost like a Friday Night Lights football town, kind of like, oh, we're the fighters out of there, so we get the hookup. We get it's nice, and everyone's super nice with us. So we moved the gym. The old gym was downtown, so we moved it to over by the stadium. I mean, state of the art facility. It's great. So we got to drive through Fab 40. So where I live, I drive through the Fab 40s, and that's who's who making, the nicest houses. So it's always nice to drive through that neighborhood. I'm like, I'm going to buy a house here and then go to the gym. So it's nice. Nice little change up this year we've had.
Yeah.
So right now you're prepping to fight TJ to defend your title for the first time. First of all, what does it feel like to be UFC motherfucking Bantamweight Champion of the world?
Man, it's awesome. It all happened so fast.
Badass.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now it's about what you do with the belt. We were just speaking about this on our run.
Yeah, he started taking off when I started talking about this.
Get fired up.
Dude, I was getting fired up. And I hate to run. Like Faber, he's like, come on, let's do these runs. He's always after the practice to do these like shitty ass runs, like sprints on treadmills. I'm like, dude, this is not fun. Like, who wants to do this? Like 10-minute sprints, like just on. I'm like, he's like, this is shit that people don't want to do. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'd rather spar. Like, I just hate running.
He did it with me once, and he was like, all right.
Do you think that running, I've had a conversation with a friend of mine about this with Conor McGregor, because Conor doesn't run. And he was like, I really feel like every athlete that's doing something that requires like real endurance, like boxing or MMA or something like that, should run. That like the act of moving your body, like forcing your body, like your legs propelling your body and constantly working your lungs builds you like the kind of lung stamina and strength that you can't get from anything else.
So that's a good question, and it's all different because I mean, me and Cody had a discussion, and I'm like, for this title fight, I'm like, Cody, look, dude, I know you don't like to do them. I want you to do these fucking runs. I'll get on a treadmill and do like a 10-minute. Or put it on 10 and run for 5 minutes straight, and then I'll put it on 12 with a little incline and do like 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. And I had him do it with me once. And he's like, bro, he goes, look, I've done this kind of thing. I don't really like to run. It's not part of my regimen. I guarantee you I'm gonna be in great shape. And he went in there and he fought Dominic Cruz, and I mean, so you can't really argue with that. But in my opinion, I think it's a great way to get yourself uncomfortable. You can run easier, you can run hard to simulate like the feeling where your lungs are gonna blow up and your head's gonna pop and your fucking teeth hurt. Like I like to be able to do that with running. Mm-hmm. But you can get the same thing in a hard go in wrestling or a jiu-jitsu go if you're pushing the pace, or a boxing go if you can simulate like that type of like energy and expenditure. But you're forced to do it when you're running really, really fast until you stop.
Yeah, there's no coasting, right?
Yeah. But it's funny, I asked Dan Henderson, or I asked Dan Henderson's good buddy, I'm like, when I first started fighting, I was training with Randy Couture and Dan Henderson. They would come out to Sacramento and do little camps and stuff. And I asked Dan Henderson's buddy, I'm like, bro, how many days a week does Dan run? And this is 2006. And he's like, Dan hasn't ran in 12 years. And that motherfucker's a savage, dude.
Yeah.
He's a savage.
He is a savage.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's a mentally, I think he's the toughest dude ever.
My uncle
Mentally.
was all like old school trainer, so we'd like pad work, bag work, run, shadow box, you know, and spar. When I was younger, he would get us 50 rounds of work. It's like, you get 50 rounds, you're ready for your fight. We'd always spar 50 rounds of boxing rounds when we were younger.
50 rounds?
50 rounds of sparring.
Before a fight.
Before a fight. So it could be...
Okay, like 5 rounds 10 times? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, throughout the 4 or 5 week camps
Right,
to your
okay.
fight. You know, we'd fight sometimes we lived in that tri-state area, so I would fight I had a bunch of books. I'd fight in Ohio on Friday, Saturday in Pennsylvania, West Virginia on Sunday. So I had 3 fights. You can't do that anymore, but we lived in the tri-state, so we always had these regional books. You know, and you fight, I got this book, you only have 5 fights, you know, this guy's, you know, has 100. So amateur boxing was almost like amateur wrestling. They were always, you know, competing like that. But he never really forced us to run. We always sparred. You know, that's when the really fight would happen. So I'm just composed in that. He always told me growing up, he's like, fighting doesn't make you a better runner. Or, sorry, running doesn't make you a better fighter. So I just always tell it to Faber. Every time he wants to do those damn runs, he's like, dude, running doesn't make you a better fighter.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different schools of thought on it. You know, and some people think that you have to run like long distance to just enable your body to dig deep in those late rounds when you're getting tired, that you'll have more endurance that way.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's true. But the whole thought process behind one person's theory, this is why I can't stand coaches that like think it's the only way, you know,
Right.
always learn. Of course you always want input from other people and you have things at work, but like even my manager back in the day, he always used to worry about Chad Mendez, his training, because like Chad Mendez, Lance Palmer, those are 2 guys that have been training since they were 5 years old on a regimen. Like their dad's pushing them, making them go to this and making them do that. And so their like little vacations they got were like the most, they needed that. They needed to go hunting or go fishing and get the break. For me, I was always, my dad, he'd drop the trailer off. We'd have a motorhome. He'd drop it off at a pond. He'd go to work and we'd fish all day. No one was having me wrestle or do anything. I didn't start till I was in the like 8th grade. So I've always been on like trying to catch up kind of deal. And like a Chad and Lance are like, get your homework done, you train your butt off, you do a regimen, and then you take your little break. And then you take your breaks, you know? And it doesn't matter. It's just about what you're processing as your method that you believe in. As long as you really believe in it, that's the most important thing. The belief system is bigger than anything else.
There's got to be different methods for different fighting styles too. I mean, some people move around more like Dominic, and some people are more stationary and, you know, rely more on power. I mean, there's got to be different routines that would be more effective. And it's kind of about finding whatever works best for you, right?
Right.
Exactly.
For me, I like sprints. I'm like a very explosive fighter, but also I have endurance too. It's like I did the VO2 testing. It's actually I tested as a cross-country runner. I hate running. I mean, on the results, you know.
Right.
So, but I feel like I do better at sprinting than long distance. But it's crazy, like what you have to be in shape for going, you know, to fight for the cage. Like you have to be great wrestling conditioning, boxing conditioning. So those are all different conditionings. Like a boxer comes in and wrestles, he's toast in a minute, if that.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes wrestlers, same thing. They go in there, they're boxing, they're just a composure. You know, it's what what Conor said right after Mayweather. He's like, shots were nothing. He didn't, you know, it was just the composure. It was the rounds logged in.
He's just so efficient too, and he knew that Conor was going to fade because Conor was relying so much on explosiveness and tense, and he didn't have enough time to prepare.
Yeah,
right,
not only that,
weeks?
I thought Conor did a good job of staying nice and flowy and everything. Yeah. But here's the truth. It's like if I were to take a pretty good high school wrestler or even a really good high school wrestler and put him against an Olympic gold medalist, like a high level high school wrestler versus an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, there's going to be a difference, but when the fatigue cracks a little bit, it starts happening a little bit, one guy's going to keep composure completely and the other guy's going to have a little bit of an opening, and the other guy will be able to isolate that. And I think that's what happened. fight, and I figured that would happen. I just didn't think that Conor would do that well the whole fight until it happened.
Yeah.
You know, he was doing awesome.
It makes me wonder, like, how would he have done if he had 6 months to prepare? How good would he have done if he got in really good shape? Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, he
man.
might have been able to make it to the 12th round. I think either way, the more loose Floyd got, the more he was going to start landing shots. He's just a far better boxer. He's a specialist, you know.
I don't think it would be. It's about getting in shape necessarily, because Conor had to be in amazing shape. He's already a world champion. Then he's got this big opportunity. That's what I always tell the guys also. It doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in. Being in good shape only means you can do more until you get tired. I think the better shape you're in, he would have kept doing more. And if he wasn't able to finish him, you know what I mean? Like, because Floyd was letting him do more. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't letting him. He wasn't letting him necessarily, but
he was taking rounds off for sure.
Yeah, he was
letting,
taking rounds.
letting Conor blow out some energy.
So it's like the better shape you're in, the more you're going to output until you get tired. But if you're trying to fucking win, you're going to be, you're going to be putting it out. And I think he would have been able to do more until he got tired, but the fatigue would have set in.
We had this in our wrestling room. The board saying it said fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, I was in the same wrestling room since I was 5 years old all the way up until sophomore year. Junior year I was done wrestling, but I always read that. I was like, man, fatigue. I was like, didn't even know what fatigue was, but I knew what a coward was. So I was like, I knew they didn't go right. So I would literally go so hard. I didn't know how to wrestle really. I would go and just keep scrambling out of things, and that's how I always wrestle. And my brother was like the same exact way. He was just a grinder, old school wrestler. And, I had him pushing me, so it was always that fatigue, fatigue makes cowards of us all. So when you get tired, you're always going to get tired in a fight. Like, I didn't know. I've never been to the 4th round, been in the 3rd once. With Cruz, I had all these, questions like, oh, how's he going to be? Is his composure? Can he go, keep that power and speed up for the 5th round? Shit, I didn't know. I prepared for that and believed. That's the thing. It's just believing. I was tired, but I was having so much fun in there. You just kind of push through that when you're tired. And that's the thing. When fatigue sets in, some people can either wilt from it or propel them to. Like, when I get tired, I feel like I bite down more. I'm more eyes in there because I'm tired. I know that mistakes happens when you're tired, so that's when you stay on it more. Right,
got to concentrate more on keeping your technique clean and making sure that you it's like an interesting thing when you're fighting a guy like Dominic Cruz too, because he's so awkward. Like you're preparing for someone who moves in such a. I mean, you're right. You knew better than anybody.
Yeah.
You fought him several times. He moves so weird.
Mm-hmm.
He does move weird. Like the second time I fought him, I feel like I did a good job of like letting him move, and then when he'd land, I'd hit him.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one thing I went back and I watched that fight, and I'm like, you're always looking at excuses of why did I lose this fight or not, and I think the little things count. I talked to Cody about this in his fight with Dom, was like, make sure the eyes are on you when there's no action happening, because Dominic is always doing this weird. It's like peacocking. He's moving and doing these little movements and weird shit. And so when nothing's happening, who are you looking at? You're looking at the weirdo. You know what I mean?
Staying busy.
Staying busy. So
yeah.
So then it's like he is weird, but it's not like. I don't know. It's a different kind of weird.
What was it like doing the Ultimate Fighter opposite TJ? Like knowing that you guys were eventually going to fight and knowing that you guys used to be teammates?
Honestly, it wasn't bad. Like for the first 2-3 weeks, it was fine. We were cordial. Like it was what it was. And until he started going to like the media and like would say that I'm different on and off camera.
Oh man!
So I was like, that's the thing. So I'm
day.
like, dude, like TJ, we were just like being cordial and cool, like getting through the weigh-ins and doing that whole process. Honestly, it's a lot,
Right.
I'm still trying to train and fight, but it was an opportunity. I love to do it. I love the guys, the team. Had my coaches out there, my uncle out in Vegas. It was a good time. We had a good time with the team, and we were fine until, like I said, he would go to the media and like talk shit, say I was different. I'm like about choking him on when he was talking shit and he stepped towards me. So I was like, so you're saying that? So I cornered him with no cameras, like TJ. I was like, man, what's going on? Why are you talking shit in the media saying that I'm different on and off camera? Like I wouldn't beat your ass here right now because there's no camera. I was like, you think that? And he's like, no, I don't think he would whoop my ass right now. So I grabbed his ass up again by the throat and slammed him against and he like squared up with me. And I was like, all right, we're going to throw down. Like, cool, just me and him, we'll throw it down and that's it. No cameras around. And maybe that will subside some of the shit. Because I was getting pissed. He was being with me, right there.
So how many people were there when you guys almost fought?
No one. We were in
Just
his
you and
locker
him.
room.
I was there in a
Faber was
I was
out
there in a
his
towel.
Just got out of the
Got
shower.
out of the shower.
I have a picture of it. It's so funny. Faber was sitting there like in his towel. But I was just confused on it. I was like, dude, we're cool, cordial with each other. And then you go in the media. And that's when I started. I was like, man, I was just kind of like fed up with the whole thing. But now it's like so long drawn out for the fight. I'm just like, if you take all that away, him leaving Team Alpha Male, all the variables, and you break it down against fighter versus fighter, this is a fucking fight that I'm like thankful for. You know what I mean? I'm finally getting to fight these opponents they're worthy opponents that I can go out there and showcase my skill against. So it wasn't horrible being around the guy until he would go and talk shit on the media, and I was just like appalled by it. I was like, man, what is going on?
So how did you guys resolve it when you were alone in the locker room?
Dude,
Well,
literally,
everybody came
literally
and broke it up.
did that happen? Well, that happened, and then he like put his fist up, and I was like, all right, here we go. I was just gonna throw like some fire at him, like we're gonna fight. like I was like, all right, cool, he's gonna fight me. And then he put his hands down. And he was like, look how you're acting, bro. And I was like, oh, like he went from straight to ready to fight, and then to that. So I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I just was like, dude, quit talking shit on the media. Like, we're right here. You can say it to me. Like, I don't know why we don't have we can talk about it. And a couple times we've had off-camera talks, like with me and him about the whole Joe Daddy Stevenson fight. I was like, look, bro, I understand you're trying to get your guy back on, but Joe should not fight. He took so much damage in that fight, and he's fighting in 6 days. I'm 25 years old, and I would not fight in 5 or 6 days after I just fought like that.
Right.
He was concussed. He was hurt. And TJ's like, hey, man, like, I can't tell him not to fight. I'm like, you have to tell him. Like, you're his coach. You can't call his wife or his coach or,
of course.
You have to say, dude, we can have, I don't want my teammates fighting each other, but, dude, that's going to be bad. I said, he's going to get knocked out and be hurt.
Yeah.
And TJ's like, don't get that in his head, Cody. I'm like, Joe. And we were doing it in front of Joe. I'm like, Joe, look, I love you. You're a pioneer. Like, you're a legend of the sport. You don't need to go out here and get $10,000 and for whatever it was they were getting for that fight, to go in there and have serious brain damage. He's fighting Hyder, who has good, like, I think 8 knockouts, vicious knockouts. He throws his hands. I knew it was a bad matchup. That was an ego thing. TJ wanted his whole team because he was, he kicked their ass on the team.
Yeah.
We didn't stylistically pick the best matchups, or we was in there trying to do what we could with those guys. It was tough. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks. It was just, it was hard. It was honestly hard.
It's got to be weird coaching people in a short period of time like that too.
Man,
you realize
these
like,
were
what
all
you really
crafty
need
veterans, though.
Yeah.
Right. So it was have
guys
to
that had
correct
been
their
kicked out of the
problems.
UFC.
Right.
Yeah. We didn't know. I didn't do any of my research on them, like how they did outside of the UFC career. I remember them in the UFC. I'm like, okay, this he can fight Eddie Gordon, so he's massive. Let's go with him. We just didn't know like how they did outside of it. So
but I would just assume that like as a coach, if you get anybody and you're working with them for 6 weeks, you would start thinking, if I had 6 months, I could get rid of this.
Yeah.
When I coached against Dom, we had 3 months.
Oh, that's right, because you guys there was the crazy season.
The only live season.
Oof, what was that like? That was a giant
cool,
chunk of your
man.
life.
That was Vegas,
Dude,
man. All these guys, I was staying under wraps, but we had the whole crew out there. It was all my coaches were just the young guys coming up, just trying to get them exposure and everything. So I had TJ and Lance and all the guys that were my coaches. They were running amok in Vegas. It was hilarious.
For the Connor season, that was when I came out. That was I was ready to leave Vegas. Like I couldn't wait to leave Vegas after that. It was just.
Yeah, same thing. I had Cody as one of my coaches, remember, for the McGregor?
Yeah, it seems to me that, like, to live in Vegas is kind of like living near a nuclear reactor. Like, you may be able to do it for a couple days, but after a while, the radiation's going to get you.
Yeah. Just one wrong decision from, like, a whole change of life. Like, it's just too much.
Like,
right
bro,
there.
you need to, all of a sudden you won't have seen daytime for a couple days.
Well, there's also, my feelings on it is that you're around, like, maybe it's just me being sensitive, but I think you're around people that make shitty decisions. You're around a lot of that in Vegas because you're around a
Yeah.
lot of compulsive gamblers. Just the vibe of the city. Like, there's great shit in the city. There's a lot of successful people, you know, Dana and the Fertitas, and there's a lot of people that are making great money and doing well in business. But then there's a whole, like, underbelly to the city that's compulsive gamblers. There's
Yeah.
a shitload
And a bunch of other
compulsive
stuff,
gamblers.
compulsive all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's City of Sin.
Yeah.
Sin City. But I think it's funny, like, you go to LA, this is mostly talking about, like, you know, people that are trying to get into the entertainment industry or whatever. It's like LA is like a social climate. If you take the crappy part of the social scene, it's people trying to socially climb and, what do you do for work? Oh, what car do you drive? Oh, what do you
Right,
how can I what
right.
can I get out of this person? Like, try to play the game and have success. And Vegas has just sold out. Like, all right, I'm gonna go make a bunch of fucking money.
Right.
Stripping, this, cocktail, whatever it is.
Right,
So it's
selling
like,
coke.
yeah, whatever the
Yeah.
deal is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So it's like LA, social climb, Vegas, sold out.
Well, it just doesn't seem like Vegas has there's a lot of transient people, and there's a lot of people that are there just for the casinos. Whereas, like, any other city, you know, like if you live in Chicago, for instance, it's a town. You know, it's a real city. People have been there for generation after generation. There's a lot of different businesses, a lot of variety to it. In Vegas, you got the hub, which is all the casinos.
Yeah.
And then you got the surrounding areas that are just sort of feeding off of the casinos. It's weird.
It's
you
a
know?
weird
Yeah.
gig.
Weird. Great for short times.
Yeah. The one thing I would say was cool while you're there is, I mean, Sacramento's not necessarily a destination spot. So while I was living there and people knew that we were living there, I would get hit up like every couple days with somebody that was coming to Vegas. So there's always, like, you get to rehash, like, see all sorts of people that you know, would like to see that are popping into Vegas all of a sudden. And it's like, damn, everybody's hitting you up. Like, it's like, you know, it's kind of like a little reunion place, you know?
Right,
People go
right.
there all the time.
Now, as far as your new place, like, what did you do differently when you guys moved to your new spot? Like, how did you set it up? Because,
Oh,
like,
bro.
you had the old spot for a long time, right?
Dude, you got to check out the place. You'll love it.
I saw it online. It looks amazing.
So basically, we just made it bigger and better and tried to cover all the things that we do as mixed martial artists within one roof. So we have CrossFit, we have yoga, we have TRX, we have, you know, conditioning classes that are, you know, MMA based. We have introduction to stuff, and then we have the MMA side, which is traditional Muay Thai. Our pros work out of there. We have our own little locker room for the pros, and we have like nice finishes. There's a cafe there. There's an outdoor area. There's, like, you know, bathrooms and showers. And
That's amazing.
the other place was just, it was 8,500 square feet, which is still pretty big at the time. It was
a big
cutting
spot.
edge, and it was like one shower, one toilet, and it was 13 years of building the team, and I mean, the place stunk. And
That's a good recipe for staff. One
Yeah.
shower.
yeah.
First time I ever got staff was when I went out to Team Alpha, man. Dude, it was right before my UFC debut. Literally, like, do you remember that 2 or 3 weeks before I had staff?
Oh, no.
And I got the call, like, you're going to fight in 3 weeks. I'm like,
Yeah.
Did you get on antibiotics
antibiotics,
immediately?
yeah. I remember he's like, Faber's like, why are you taking it? I'm like, dude, I got staph in my leg. Like, couldn't walk. It was horrible. First time I had it. And
Was it from not showering right after you trained, or you just...
I think
don't know what it
you know,
was.
you have staph all over your body.
Yep.
You have it in your nose
Mhm.
and everything else. I think immune system down, and then
Yep.
like some sort of
Scratches usually.
scratch or
Yeah.
a cut. You know.
Do you guys fuck with defense soap?
Yep.
That stuff is the
Yeah.
shit.
Guy Seiko, he actually
Yeah,
wrestled with
he's awesome.
having this boy
Yeah,
growing
great
up in
guy.
Cleveland. Yeah, great guy. So
And that product is fucking amazing. He has a bunch of different things like salve for scratches, this
Yeah.
ointment, this tea tree oil and eucalyptus and stuff like
That's
that. All
good
natural stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you could stay on that stuff on a regular,
Oh, yeah.
you'll avoid 99% of that shit.
Getting sleep,
Mhm.
and eating right, and you know, showering after you work
combination,
out.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of diet are you on, Cody? Like, how do you organize your nutrition?
Actually, I spoke with Aubrey a couple weeks ago. We did, like, obviously on a supplement standpoint from On It. He gave me a whole protocol, pre-weight, you know, for this camp, daytime, nighttime stuff. Really, man, I can eat really whatever I want. I have a super high. It's hard for me, honestly, to gain weight. Like, I'm hovering around 147 after
Because your
practice.
work output's so high.
Yeah, it was so high, and never been a big eater. Like I've never liked to be full. Like I don't like that because I don't know. So I usually do some meal preps. I mess with some meal prep companies. My wife's a great cook, so I eat a lot of salmon. Like I love salmon, bison. So I keep it at and George Lockhart, I work with him, so he writes me up a whole diet of.
George is great.
Here's my carbs, here's the proteins, and then we get to the fight week, and I'm literally 12 pounds over, and I start doing his diet and water loading, and I don't run. I don't have to. I just do my workouts regularly, like I would for just to keep sharp for the week. Lose the weight. I mean, it's the best, and I feel the greatest. I used to always cut weight, and then like cut a lot of weight, and then get IV'd up and feel sluggish, like with George and the diet that he's giving me on, also with the On It products. For 2 months I've been on the On It products, and I feel so much like just better with them, like joint wise. Like I had such stiffness. I got like I said, Aubrey gave me a whole thing, that those krill oil pills, all that stuff.
Yeah, fish oil is giant, man. Fish oil is so important for people, and so many people don't take it, but it's just for joint mobility and joint health and just reduction of inflammation. Also, it's fuel for your brain. It's great for building your muscles. Like fish oil is just one of the primary supplements that I think people should take.
My mom used to have us take spoons of that, not the pills. She would actually have fish oil in a jar.
Yeah, I have that stuff. I get it at Carlson's. I get it in a jar. I take tablespoons of it. But they have it. They put like lemon flavored in it and different things. But no matter, it always tastes like shit.
Oh,
like shit with
Anything
lemon.
That's good for you tastes like shit.
Yeah. Not true.
Not.
No, I mean meat. Meat tastes good.
Yeah, meat's good.
So you're just essentially just eating healthy. You don't have like any specific diet you follow.
No, I mean I stick to the the lean stuff. Like sushi, salmon. I always do that.
We have a bunch of good little healthy spots around town too. We got actually I'll send you out some juice. Our Liquidology juice. It's fresh juice. We have 2 spots that are like right by the gym that have like super healthy foods good there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's like a health bar.
So you guys have almost like a whole fitness location there. It's not just a gym,
right?
And how many members you have now?
We're like 1,400 members.
What's the name of the place again?
Uriah Faber's Ultimate Fitness.
Oh, okay. That's what you're calling it? Yeah. Because I know you were thinking about doing something with the UFC gym at one point in time, right?
We have one. We have one out there.
You have one of those too?
35 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
That does well. That's in Rockland, which is about 35 minutes away. And I've got a partner there who is a gym guy. He has Crunch Gyms, and he's in tight with Mastrov and the guys at UFC Gym. And so he primarily runs that, and there's no contact in that place. You can't do sparring and things like that. So.
Oh, really?
No.
How weird is that?
Any of the UFC gyms.
What? So when they have like
you
kickboxing classes, so you can strangle each other. You just can't kick or punch.
They have gi jiu-jitsu, yeah.
So when they have like kickboxing classes, do they tap each other at least?
No. They do bag work and
no drills?
I mean,
you're not going to learn if you don't do something.
They do some drills, but they don't do any they don't have like one person hold the mitts and one person hold. You can do privates and stuff like that.
Is it just like a liability thing?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, they're probably worried.
Yeah.
Well, at least they can do jiu-jitsu.
They do jiu-jitsu, and you learn a great technique.
It's a great idea, too, to have a gym that's like based around the UFC where people who are fans can go and learn that kind of stuff and get a great workout. Did you see what this shit Bob Arum said today? He said we have a boxing as an enemy, and it's the UFC. The UFC is the enemy of boxing. He's just a stupid old dummy.
Fuck Bob Arum.
He's just such a dummy. You just got 6.5 million pay-per-view buys from Mayweather versus McGregor in a boxing match. Yeah. So you tell me how the UFC is the enemy. You silly goose.
They just fucking helped you out, dude.
Yeah.
Made boxing cool again.
It definitely, I guarantee you, it bumped up Canelo Alvarez and Triple G.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't wait. We just watched the 24/7.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm so pumped.
Who you taking?
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. Look, Gennady Golovkin is a motherfucker, dude. But Canelo Alvarez gets better all the time. He's a younger guy. He looked fucking sensational against Amir Khan. He's looked sensational against everybody except Floyd.
Yeah.
Floyd got him to drain himself. Yeah. Got him to go all the way down to 150 or like 152 or something like that.
52, right? Never cut down that far.
Yeah, he cut down way low, and he just looked sluggish. And Floyd is the best boxer pretty much ever.
Yeah,
definitely.
He is.
Boxed him up.
Game plan, stuck to the game plan.
Yeah, and just looked beautiful.
Dude, Triple G's interviews are hilarious.
That is
he's
great.
like traditional, like Russian. Well, I think, it sounds like exactly how you.
Max, I'm here for a big drama show.
Yeah, exactly.
Max, of
He's
course.
Like, I
Try
think
to
it
do
will be a good fight.
Good fight for the fans. That's what I'm here for. Muchos gracias, my friends. Mexicans love Triple G.
Oh,
He
man.
fights like fucking Julio Cesar Chavez, man.
He's a savage.
He's a fucking animal. Body punching, ripping shots.
Well,
The
who
body.
do you think's gonna get it, Cody?
Man, I think honestly Canelo. I don't know. I just think Canelo. Like Triple G's a beast. I don't know. I think Canelo.
But you like Canelo. Why do you like Canelo in this?
I just like his pressure, his body punches. You know, how he flows. He throws a lot of hooks. A lot of like. I'm a big hook guy. So like, and like Mike Tyson, I used to watch all Mike's stuff, hooks, and Canelo does too.
He throws some creative stuff too.
Right.
I did that. I started doing a move off of watching Canelo. He throws like a fake hook to an uppercut. So it's like this and it goes like that because the guy will cover here and it comes right up the middle. And mine didn't look as good as his. I did a bunch against Scotty Jorgensen when I fought, and it looked like I was just winding my arm up like this. But it's like, boom. But he has a bunch of little tricky, subtle things that he does. I like Canelo too.
Yeah. Also, his ring generalship. Like that's huge for me. Like you can knock people out fast or have good combos, but the way that you take the octagon or the ring and like stalk them and then impose your will on him, his presence in there, he knows where he's at all the time.
Yeah, what's interesting to me about this fight is this is the first time that he's fought a guy who's world class, that is a brutal power puncher like him, who's bigger than him, who's going to come towards him. You know, whereas he fought Floyd. Floyd was a smaller guy, but just way craftier and slicker with his style. And, it was an interesting fight, but ultimately it wasn't like the most exciting fight because Floyd just kind of outboxed him. I think this is going to be a bang-em-up fight.
Phone booth fight.
Yeah, I think
sure.
they're going to come towards each other, and it's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
For real, this is like the highest stakes fight in boxing because you have two murderous punchers in their prime. Gennady Golovkin undefeated. The only person Canelo lost to is Floyd.
Right.
Is that his only loss?
Yeah, it's his only loss, and it's a
Been
decision.
fighting since he was 15 professional. 15
Phenomenal
Crazy.
fight. I mean, just such a good fight. I cannot wait for this fight.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
so amped up.
That's when Oscar tweeted about, he was all butthurt about it. I was like, dude, we're still gonna watch GG and Canelo.
This is why they're all fools. If Oscar just said this is great for boxing, this is great for everybody, then everybody would have been fine. Instead, these guys create enemies.
I know.
And say this is a disgrace, this is a fixed
There's power
fight.
in numbers.
Right.
They're saying Floyd fixed the fight, and they're like,
Are they still saying that?
Oscar's saying some crazy shit. Yeah. Oscar's losing his mind.
How about Dana calling him out?
Yeah.
Dana's like, is he doing
Dana's-
blow and cross-dressing?
Dude.
What is he doing? Dana's a savage.
Dude, he's a savage on there.
bro.
He'll comment on
He
some
gives
of my
zero fucks.
Yeah. He'll comment on some of my picks about like some, if I post about him or something like that. He just kills people. He does not give a fuck. It's so funny.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have $500 million.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
guess
care.
so.
You don't give a fuck.
I guess so.
Well, he didn't give a fuck in the beginning, which is why he was perfect for the UFC.
Oh, I sent him a picture. He went right after he did the whole deal where they sold and everything. He was on like ESPN. He was on some show and he was just slouched over, looked like a pile of crap. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to him. I said, "Bro, why don't you sit like you have $400 million in the bank, or at least invest in some fucking fitness shit or something?" And I sent him a picture just all slumped over like this.
I think he's super stressed.
I think he's better now. I think at that time was like a crazy ass time.
Well, could you imagine you're about to get involved in a $4 billion deal? And then how about afterwards, all this shit starts falling apart. Ronda gets murked. Conor decides to go to boxing. The sport's falling off in a lot of the pay-per-view buys. John Jones tests positive again. Like,
Dude, what's up
There's
with
like
that,
so much.
bro?
I mean, he was on his way to being a next gigantic superstar, right? I mean, if you take away his time off, right? The time off where he get busted before, he had to take a whole year off because of the dick pills, all this different stuff, the time off from the car accident, take all the time off and John keeps winning and you got a goddamn gigantic superstar.
Huge star.
The likes of like anybody that's ever been in the UFC, maybe even right up there with Conor. I mean,
Dude,
you don't know.
Even I mean, all the negative stuff that's happened to John Jones, people are still booing DC and cheering him.
Crazy.
I mean, William
Crazy.
Morris has some great PR going.
I don't
the
think
guy.
it's that. I don't think it's that at all. I don't think they have the brain. I don't think anybody alive has the brains to organize public response. I think people tweet to people. They love John because what John is, first of all, he's a ruthless killer inside the octagon, and then he fucks up, but he's still a bad motherfucker. Like he rises to the occasion.
But there was time where he was getting booed and everything, and then he took the time off, and then by the time he came back, people were back on his side. It's like, you know,
When was he getting booed? When was he getting booed?
Remember, he was getting booed like before he got suspended the time before.
Really?
Yeah.
When he tested positive for coke?
I can't remember.
I don't remember him getting booed. And if he was, it was nothing like DC. DC wins fights and gets booed.
It's crazy.
You know, I mean, he beats Rumble, he gets booed. People get mad at him. They got mad at him when he beat Rumble. Remember? They were booing him. Like, what are you booing? The guy just fucking choked out Rumble Johnson. Like, how are you booing for the second time? How are you booing? I don't get it. But you can't. The public.
You can't control.
They're
that.
fickle. They just decide who they like.
Hate. Yeah, exactly.
They decide who they love and they decide who they hate. I'll tell you what though, John's speech after he beat DC was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was.
It was great, but it was followed up by
a steroid test.
Yeah,
That's why
man.
it's so sad. Look, I'm hoping, just like everybody else, that there's some sort of a fuck up.
Yeah.
And then we figure out that something happened, something was wrong.
Well, I haven't really followed it too much, so I don't really know the details.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good. Well, he tested positive for something that only shows up in urine tests. And so they did him a urine test after the weigh-ins. He tested positive for this stuff. And then they did a blood test. And, you know, his camp is saying, oh, it's not in the blood test. Well, they don't test for it in the blood test.
Yeah,
that's why they do a urine test and a blood test. It's two different tests.
And it's like D-ball, like the main...
T-ball. Tyrannoball or something like that. It's a weird substance that not a lot of people take. So apparently Chael Sonnen was talking about it, that if he's taken that, like this is some real old school steroid. It's like a short-acting, short half-life steroid.
All that trips me out, man.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
I just don't think. I mean, what are you proving? That's my whole thing.
Well, he must have felt like he needed some sort of an edge if he took it.
Yeah.
If he took it, or the real problem is, or was he taking stuff the whole time? Did he get involved with those powerlifter dudes and start taking shit? Because remember, he got fucking super jacked.
Oh, dude, he was massive.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was going to heavyweight. He looked huge. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speculate at all, really.
Yeah, I know.
But
you were involved in the sport in the early days when there was no testing. They just look at you.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were first fighting like King of the Cage, was there any drug testing?
No.
Nothing, right?
Not at all. There wasn't any type of anything. I mean, it was illegal in California. So the only reason we were fighting on Indian reservations because everything was illegal.
Isn't that crazy? That they
so
let
fucking
Native
crazy.
Americans do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, because we screwed them so bad.
But it's not we. I mean, it's happened so many generations ago. It's kind of weird that it's still around. That they have like this sort of... They have a nation inside a nation. It's a very odd little situation.
Over in the U.S., we talk about the Holocaust and what happened over there, and over in like Germany, they talk about what we did to the Indians.
Well, you know what we did to the Indian? You know,
well, it wasn't we. My parents were here.
When it comes to like genocide, you know what the biggest genocide was? Disease.
Yeah.
90% of them were killed by smallpox and all sorts of bugs that they just had no resistance from.
That's right.
When they first met the Europeans, and it had nothing to do with like a planned attack on them. People were just dying off like crazy.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's right.
Terrific.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's thank God they have casinos.
Yeah. Well, so I've got a bunch of buddies that are native, and so they had like different things. And one tribe, like you had things you could choose, and one group up on the northern coast took their fishing rights, so they can fish with nets and like put bombs in the water, but they didn't take the
casino rights.
Casino rights.
Ooh, they fucked up.
They did fuck up.
Buy all the fish you want with that casino money.
They slang that smoked salmon. It's good.
It is good,
but it's not like the casino money.
You can buy a lot of smoked salmon. That Foxwoods cash.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a place in Alberta where I've been hunting up there, and the natives, they call them First Nation people up there. They're allowed to basically hunt any way they want. They use spotlights and shoot animals at night. They shoot as many as they want.
Part of their rights, right?
Yeah, it's part of the deal.
They
can
didn't get
catch as many
casinos.
fish. Yeah, they didn't get casinos.
Spotlighting them.
They got free moose.
Yeah, free moose.
They're just allowed to use all sorts of, what other people would think of as unethical techniques.
Do you have any hunting trips coming up?
Yeah. I'm going to Utah soon. Elk hunt, a couple weeks. I'm excited.
Nice.
You eat mostly. I know Chad does that, but tries to eat mostly food that he's killed himself.
Yeah, as much as I can. 99% of the food I eat is wild game, other than vegetables. Yeah.
That's shit.
Well, if you shoot an elk, like those elk heads that I had out back, that's 400 pounds of meat. And I give a lot of it to my friends who don't hunt, just like elk. But that's enough meat for a year.
Yeah,
and then I
that's
usually
crazy.
shoot a deer or two a year.
Yeah, that's what trips me out about people that are so against hunting. I mean, I'm not a big hunter, but like the things that happen like on the farms where they're like, have animals just caged in and try to feed them, get them fat. I mean, that's some nasty stuff. And this is a way more humane and a healthier way to eat, right?
It's definitely a healthier way to eat, and it's definitely way more humane. But
sure.
people love to point the finger. 97% of the people in this country eat meat. Either that or they're pescatarian or they eat.
Yeah.
But there's maybe 3% of the people in this country that are vegans, and that's a small number. But they get very vocal about it, and the best way for them to they can find a person. Like say if you hunt, you hold a picture of a deer that you shot. They found you, so that you're an individual.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a steak. Like that steak was raised by a rancher. It's on a ranch. Who's the guy who shot it? Who knows? But you got it at a supermarket.
Yeah,
Here it is. There's too many people down the line. It's not. You can't point to one person. But if I see Urijah Faber holding up, a duck that he shot, well, that's you. You killed that duck.
Yeah.
Get the vegan cat lady after you again.
It's true. That's
That was
true.
the
Isn't that
funniest.
hilarious? That
First
bit
cop-
is
yeah.
true. That's a true bit, man. That's a true bit. This bunch of it's a community of people that think it's a good idea to feed their cat vegan food. Yeah, there's a whole move to feed cats vegan food, and the cats they go blind and have heart attacks and shit.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, cats are supposed to eat something called taurine that only exists in animal food. And in animal protein. Cats are what's called an obligate carnivore, which means they can't eat anything else.
Dude, that's a trip.
Like dogs can eat carrots and a bunch of other shit. Like dogs eat things. Like dogs can eat some grains and potatoes and stuff like that. That's fine for them. They mostly eat meat. Like dogs are mostly carnivores, but they can mix their diet up a little bit and still be okay. Not cats. You fucking start feeding cats beets and vegetables and shit like that. They
So wait,
they die
so
young.
what's the bit? This chick came after you?
I'll show you. I don't want to do the bit because it's on my next
Oh, it's a
Netflix
bit.
special.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's an
Okay.
actual bit. But it's like someone got mad at me because I posted a picture of some meat on Instagram. It's based on a total true story.
And it was one of the vegan cat ladies?
Yeah.
Yeah, this fucking bitch is so out of her mind.
I don't want to ruin it for
Yeah,
No,
everybody,
don't. But
dude.
it's just there's the community of people that feed their cats vegan food. They are fucking completely. They're like next level crazy. Like if you thought vegans are crazy, they're like, well, we're taking this shit to the next level. It's like there's
funny.
levels to everything. Like this, like you were talking about your gym. There's guys that are just tough guys. But they don't really want to fight. There's guys who want to fight and they're fighting in the amateurs. And then there's Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
She's the Cody Garbrandt of vegan activists.
Of the vegan activists.
Yeah.
Next
Dude.
level
That
crazy.
was a great one. Yeah, I went to he was in SAC, a month or so ago? A
Yeah,
little
not
longer?
even.
Yeah, I was out of
Yeah.
town, man. I would have
Yeah.
liked to have come.
fun.
Oh, it was
House.
great. That was the first I went live, sat down. It was great. I was laughing my ass off.
Sacramento's fun, man. They came out. It was a good time. I always loved performing there. Ever since back in that little comedy club there, the Punchline Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great spot.
Yeah.
It's a great little spot.
I went up there. Craig Robinson was in town. He's my buddy.
Oh, he's a good dude.
And he pulled me up on stage to have me do something. I shitted up the place pretty bad.
It's not easy. Does Craig bring his music up there?
Yeah.
Does he,
Well, it saved me a little bit because he's like brought me. All right, I wouldn't bring my boy up, blah blah. And I got up there on stage, and then and so I'm like, my manager kind of like gave me a heads up, like, oh, Craig might pull you up there. So I had like. I'm like, all right, well, I just told the story of the chick that knocked on my door and came and shit all over my bathroom.
that story.
I did that, but I had Craig do sound effects for it. So I was
Oh,
like,
no.
hey, man, I'll do this, but you got to give me sound effects. He was on a thing like, I'm like, then she took a massive shit, and then he's like, doing it on the keyboard.
What this was like New Year's, right? Someone
No.
broke into your house?
It was just a Saturday night. I mean, this.
Oh, I thought it was on New Year's.
Just a
or
regular
something.
Saturday night.
I'm
Favors.
more known for this lady shitting in my head, my bedroom, or my bathroom than fucking most things I've done in my life for myself.
Well, you told the story somewhere. I
Well,
saw it online.
I took a video of it on
Oh.
Snapchat, and I'm like, dude,
Is it
I don't know
still
what
up?
happened. Yeah, it's probably up. Yeah, well, TMZ
Jamie will
took
find
it. TMZ did it and did a story on it, and they did an interview, and they showed my whole thing. And I actually like got a picture of the chick, opened the door, and there's like a canoe of shit between her legs, and she's sitting in vomit and shit, half in the toilet, half on the floor. In my brand new house, I just spent a whole year building it, me and my dad, and she just
How did she
crested
get
it.
in your house? What happened? What's
I
the story?
opened the door like an idiot. So I'm sitting there with my buddy Virgil and his girlfriend. It's like 1 o'clock on a Saturday. We're just kicking it BS. And
1
I heard,
a.m.
Yeah. It's like
It's a side piece.
Yeah.
He doesn't put that in there.
No, come on. So then I hear a little knock. I thought, and I'm like, did someone knock on the door? And then it goes away. And I hear again like a knock. I'm like, I think somebody's knocking. So I go in, and literally, I open the door like this, and I got this plump, like 24-year-old fucking drunk as shit woman, like leaning against the door, like looking at me. And I open the door, and she like just walks in, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" And she's got a little boiler.
Is that her in the background?
No, that's my buddy Virgil's ex-girlfriend. Oh, dude, this is great. Yeah, this is kind of strange. Case.
So she just
on the case.
walks in your house and then
So
goes in the
She
bathroom?
walks in my house, and I'm like, "Can I help you?"
That's the most foul thing I've ever seen in my life.
Ready?
Yeah.
Is she in there still?
Oh my
Oh,
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
funny, buddy. These guys.
So she was passed out in shit and piss in your bathroom?
So I open the door, and she stumbles in like all chubby and like a boiler hanging out. There's fucking ambulance, fire trucks, SWAT team to come get this chick out of my toilet. And so she walks in and walks past. I'm like, "Can I help you?" And she just keeps on walking. I'm like, "Excuse me." And she like walks to the end of my house and just locks herself in the bathroom.
Is that her right there?
Yeah.
She's just sitting on the stoop. This is after she wiped up?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus
Well,
Christ.
she didn't wipe up. I don't know what they did. I had to look at. That's the crime scene.
Oh!
That's great.
I had
Totally
to
missed
get
the
out
toilet.
myself.
Jesus Christ, she missed
she
everything.
missed everything. It's weird that she knew exactly where that bathroom was at.
How did
That
she
is
know where that
weird.
bathroom was?
I'm just
Did you just say it?
speculating.
That bathroom was not there. Look at the heroes.
Had she ever been over your house for a party or something?
No.
So she just was in the neighborhood.
So I live on the corner, and there's maybe like
Here comes the
4
truth.
block down. there's a bar called Cheaters. I think she was drunk from that, walking and had to really take a shit.
there's a
and-
bar called Cheaters.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like the Ashley Madison of bars? Like
I haven't
people are
really been
supposed
in
to
there.
go there to hook. Yeah, of course you have.
I really have.
I wouldn't go there either,
it's
bro.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
That'd be a,
think she just
bar
stopped
where
and
you
shit.
know, if you go to that bar, like you know what's going on.
Oh, you're
Right?
a gangster.
I
if
mean,
you're
you
going
gotta
there.
see
Cheers.
it's an old ass like bar in East Sac, which is like the nice little neighborhood, and it's like a shit dive bar. So I don't know what it's all about.
Maybe the dude's name is Cheater.
It's probably
So
Cheater.
it's Cheater's Bar, man. It ain't about cheating
Hey,
here. It's my
name's
name.
Cheater.
We're not cheating
My name's
here.
Cheater.
That's
Is that
it
it
right there.
Oh, Cheaters.
It is cheaters.
Yeah, maybe
Cheaters.
it's Cheaters.
That's on 34th and Folsom.
Is there a apostrophe after the R?
No.
No. Cheaters. Okay.
Cheaters.
Yeah, look at that. It looks angry. It's like, this is where we're going to go to fuck up. So this is right down the street from your house.
That bathroom was not there before I got the house. I added that on, poured a slab, and built back and everything else. And so I don't know how the hell she dead ended in the end of the house and just took a left.
So she just got lucky. Found the bathroom, shit all over the place. Did you ever contact her afterwards? Did you ever
Fuck no.
Did she ever contact
God.
you
Hey.
and say, "Hey, I'm
Fuck
sorry, I
no.
shit all over your house"? Like she's got to know that it was on TMZ and all these different websites.
Bro,
you
I
would
didn't
think she
I
would like
didn't
reach out.
Think
He cut
about
that one
girl
off.
again.
He cut that one off.
If that girl gets into a 12-step program, you will be one of the first people she apologizes to. She's
Well,
gonna say,
that's
"I got to
great.
make it right with all the people that are wrong in the past."
Dude, I wonder if she's someone in the neighborhood. I mean, I don't know, but the truth is, like, she went into that bathroom like she was just drawn like a. How should she have known? If you know my house,
That's what I'm saying.
there's like.
I always ask him, like,
Hey,
dude, it was
remember-
just too much.
Remember,
like,
I had this guy. I had this Mexican guy that was working for me, and he had like an issue. He would do the lacquer on all my cabinets and everything, and so he took like an extra month, and he would get in there, and I'd go into the house like when it was being built, and he'd be passed out on the floor. He'd just get high as fuck and like pass out. My theory was maybe he would like stay the night at the house under construction. Maybe he was having this chubby chick come over or something.
it's messed up, man. You're passing off to a Mexican.
Yeah,
that was yours,
that's
man.
weird, bro.
That's weird. It's just not
It's
adding
weird
up.
how you doing that. Let's change the subject.
Yeah. Let's move on from
So,
the phantom shitter.
You guys, like Team Alpha Male in Sacramento, you guys are like one of the real super camps in the world. Like there's like a handful of super camps in this country, right? There's like ATT, you know, there's Duke Rufus, there's Faraz Zahabi's camp, TriStar, AKA. There's a bunch of super camps. Do you try to pay attention to how other guys are running their stuff and try to figure out like what they're incorporating as far as like strength and conditioning, you know, rehab places, like physical therapy, things along those lines?
A little bit. You know, we have a reputation for whenever we go somewhere, going into the gyms and trying to get it rolling, you know, testing yourself against other people, like kind of an open door policy at our place too. Like if somebody wants to come in, they can come in and check it out. So we've gotten throughout the years, a lot of feedback and done our own stuff, but always trying to learn, but not necessarily like, and we kind of have our own recipe. Like we have our things that work, and it's about a regimen and a lifestyle. It's like set programs throughout the day, and you can kind of makeshift your own depending on what your coaches think you need to do or what you feel you need to do, because there's 2-3 practices you could hit a day if you wanted to, and then there's individual workouts, and they go, some guys do the cryotherapy, and then they've been doing that suction therapy, and they've been doing
Do you believe in that cup stuff, cupping?
I'm like old school. Like I don't really believe in. I'm not like looking for all these little secret things to do.
But
so
you
I've
don't
never
think
done
those things help a little? Like something's got to help a little. Like cryo helps. Do you do that at all?
I've done it a couple times.
But you're not like it's not a thing that
The
you
thing
do on a regular
I'm
basis.
adamant about that I think is good, which I would have liked to do more of throughout my career, is the hyperbaric chambers.
Yeah, you
Like,
used that
that's-
after the Aldo fight, right, with your leg?
After the Aldo fight, after the Mike Brown fight, like
You broke your hand.
broke my hand and had surgery. Like, I mean, I would use that just as a regular bit. And then TJ Dillashaw actually got one and had it at his house in his garage,
Really?
like in Sacramento. He had like got certified. Him and his wife got certified to do it, and he would just like chill in that thing all
Well,
the
so
time.
what does the hyperbaric chamber do? It's like it's a
So there's-
high oxygen rich environment, right?
Yeah, so it's a high oxygen rich environment. So it basically like it does like the same thing that red blood cells would do, like transport things to your body faster and help you heal faster.
yeah.
So like there's high altitude, which helps you like get acclimated and make more blood cells yourself. And this is just like helping pass things through. It's like a hyper oxygenated environment.
And what do you feel like it did for you?
It healed me faster. So that's the first. I've never been like a big strength and conditioning guy, even in wrestling and in college, because I was always cutting weight. So I felt like I've always been really strong for my size. That wasn't one of my things that I needed to work on necessarily. I was working on technique or working on this or fluidity or whatever. So I started, when I broke my hands, I started doing a heavy lifting regimen. I used to not like to do lifts like squats and stuff like that because I would get so sore I couldn't do all the shit I like to do, like wrestle and run and things like that. So I was going to heal my hand while I was doing these heavy workouts, and my trainer kept asking me, like, am I sore? And I was like, no, I'm not sore. And we finally put it together because of the hyperbaric chamber. Like, I was, like, hyper healing. It was like I would do a hard workout and never get sore because I would go into the oxygen chamber. My schedule just worked out. I was going in there quick.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any downside to doing it?
No? There's
No.
not. Well, the downside is it's expensive.
Right.
And that's the same reason why insurance didn't pass it to be insured. So like there
How
was
much is
a
it
big.
a session?
It could be as much as $200.
$200 I think a session.
Wow.
Laying there for an hour.
And how many sessions were you doing?
I would get it to where I was doing, like 4 sessions a week.
Damn it! Insurance wasn't paying for this?
No, UFC would pay for it.
Ah,
sometimes.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
So, like, is this something they have set up at the the new UFC Performance Center?
I think they have all that stuff there. I know the underground treadmills, the high altitude building. I've used their PT a couple times. We have a very fortunate with Russ back in Sacramento, El Dorado Hills, that he does all that. I use the hyperbaric chamber as well. I've had the whole last year. You know, when sometimes when you kick someone wrong, and your ankle's messed up for 2-3 days, I would go in there that day and literally could put weight on it, move around, and be fine.
What they use it for is brain trauma.
Right.
It helps heal your brain. Like they'll
The
put
neurons and
yeah, it's the same thing that they do for the bends when somebody goes and does deep sea and if they're like deep sea diving, they have to put them in a hyperbaric chamber to like acclimate them to like heal them from coming up too fast. I mean, there's like a real science behind it.
Yeah, no, I've heard about people using it for breaks, like bone breaks, and having some really quick recovery.
Yeah.
I've just never experienced it.
You should do it.
You're like, well, yeah, I would imagine it'd be just a good thing to do all the time, but I wonder if there's any negative effects.
I don't think there is. I mean, you know, they're doing it for autistic kids, for people with Lyme disease.
Lyme disease is a big one, man.
Yeah.
Jesus, that stuff's scary.
Yeah.
There's so many fucking people that have that and don't even know. They're just tired all the time and broken down. They don't understand that their immune system is devastated by ticks.
Yeah, that's
unreal.
There's a thing called a Rocky Mountain tick, Rocky Mountain flea or something like that. I think it's a Rocky Mountain tick. But there's a oh no, that's not it. It's the Lone Star tick. There's a disease that people are getting that makes you allergic to red meat.
Huh.
And they're getting it from ticks.
That's a trip.
Yeah, you take a tick bite and you don't realize anything even happened, and you go to eat meat, like you eat a cheeseburger or something, you get really sick.
Oh, wow.
Your immune system gets devastated. There it is. The Lone Star tick injects alpha-gal into the bloodstream, and then the immune system releases immunoglobulin E antibodies to fight this foreign sugar. After this reaction, the future intake of mammal meat with the same alpha-gal will result in an allergy reaction.
Wow.
Because meat has, it's like alpha galactose. They're saying alpha gal as short, but I forget what it actually is. I forget the actual. See, does it say there? Yeah, galactose alpha 1,3 galactose. So that's the shit that
you're like Clifford
is in
Clavin,
meat.
bro. You know some shit, bro.
Well, if you do a podcast every day, 3 hours, you got to learn something.
It's been around.
He does
Learn
this
some shit, but that's fucked up, right?
That is
Imagine if
fucked
Chad
up.
Mendez got that.
Oh, he'd be
Devastated.
upset, man.
Got to make sure you got that
But he would
anti-tick
adjust.
stuff on you.
He would adjust.
You would adjust.
Can't see Chad as a vegan.
Well, you can eat fish. It's mammal protein. You start eating crocodiles. Hunt crocodiles only.
Yeah, so the hyperbaric chamber is a good one. I've been doing the salt. What's the thing?
float?
Oh, you've been doing float?
Yeah,
float
you told
therapy?
me to do that a long time
That's
ago,
awesome.
and they finally got one right next to our. I own a little Vibe Health bar in Sacramento, the Liquidology, the Juice, and Viber, and they have right next door. They have the hyper or the
Float center.
float center. So I've done that.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's cool. I mean, the only problem is I have to have a quiet mind and able to go to get the most out of it. Like if I'm stressing about something and I go in there, I just I end up just thinking the whole time and whatever. I have to be in the right place to go in there, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's a personality thing. Like you.
I like it when I can relax, but if I have a lot going on in my mind, I can't just shut it down, and then I'm stuck in this thing,
loop.
just thinking, and I can't. I'm like, I got to get out of here and go take care of this, take care of that. You know?
Right.
But when I'm able to chill, I love it, and I know Cody uses it a lot.
I use it a lot. One time I had a close call, like a astral projection. I don't know if you probably.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
What's
I went in
that?
there. Basically, I was explaining to the guy that owned it at the time because I quit going. I was like, one time it happened, felt like Grim Reaper came over top of me, no shit, and was like trying to push me down and drown me. But I was like sleeping in like a deep trance. Like I'd always my body would vibrate, and it kept coming. I would come back to the wake. I was such in a deep trance. I'd come back up and I'd finally calm myself back down, relax, and would drift off into the float. And then boom, it would come but the whole time I could feel the hot coils on my back, but my face, because it's still, you're just above water, so around your whole head. 3 times, and I finally was got up and I was
So
got
you really
out.
felt like something was trying to drown
Dude, someone
you?
was trying. I don't know what I was going on.
Anxiety or something, right?
Crazy,
That's
crazy.
Wow. Well,
So I
you can have
stopped-
some crazy visions in there.
Last
Crazy
time I was
visions.
in there, I just kept it has a blue light in there, and I got the music going, and I was just spinning and like bouncing off this. I was just staying busy. I couldn't chill. I'm not good at relaxing these days.
Well, I would think you'd be better at relaxing now that you're retired from fighting.
Oh, no way, man. No way. I'll have to like, if jiu-jitsu's going on, and I'll have to like stop. I'll be like, look, guys, we're having a meeting right now. I go, let's cover this over. Like, jiu-jitsu started 20 minutes ago. I need to get that workout in. Otherwise, I'm like, you create yourself a regimen throughout your life of working out a couple times a day, and that's what you do. And then you go in and try to have meetings all day and like deal with this and put this fire out and get on this call. And it's like, I was doing that together with being a full-time athlete, so finding the balance has been the key for me.
Well, for you, there probably is like a requirement that your body has to like blow out steam too.
And that's another thing with the diet. Like you were asking Cody about his diet. Like, I have been like an overeater. He doesn't like to like stuff himself, and he's calling me, making fun of me for eating all the time. I'm like just constantly eating and whatnot because I'm used to doing that. You burn so many calories in the day. Now I have to like be mindful of not like overeating because I'm not putting out the same thing. Otherwise, I feel like crap.
Right. You don't want to get fat.
Not
a
even
lot of guys
fat.
retire and get fat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about getting fat necessarily. It's more of just like feeling like shit. This guy's
What are you laughing
Cody's
at?
the best instigator ever. Whatever I'm doing, he tries to like accentuate it. Like if he knows that I'm like, man, I'm a little thick, and then he'll wait like a day and then be like, man, babes, you're looking a little bigger. He's just always trying to make things worse.
About 13%.
Dude, you had a jiu-jitsu match with Paul Meow, right?
Yes.
And you went to a decision with him, man. That's gigantic.
We went 6 overtimes.
Yeah, that's gigantic. That guy is fucking legit, man.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
For a guy like you who didn't specialize in that and specialized in MMA, and coming from a wrestling background, obviously you have a grappling background and you were great at submissions in your MMA career. But to take on a guy that's like that accomplished as a grappler, that's gigantic, man.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I always tell these guys, and I truly believe it, and that's what I said about Connor too, like, you have to, in our sport, you have to be able to go with a world champion jiu-jitsu player, a world champion wrestler, a world champion judo player, a world champion boxer, and be able to hold your own. That's the difference with our sport, and that's why it's so impressive. And so that's what I was saying for these guys. And I didn't even for that I was gonna train real hard and take it real serious, but then I got the Rampage movie role in the Rock's new movie, so I went and spent 10 days in Atlanta, and then I had told Chad before that I would do this charity fishing trip with these, the injured vets, and so we did that for 3 days. And I went in there looking like a chubby. There's a picture of me. I look so friggin' chubby in that thing, and didn't even train. But I was like, you know what? I take a lot of pride in my grappling ability. I feel like I'm one of the best grapplers in the sport. So it was good to go in there and do that.
Well, that and Chad beating Jeff Glover,
Huge.
tapping him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking crazy.
I
Like,
know.
it just shows you the level of grappling that you guys have at your gym.
But I've gone, like, Jeff Glover and I, when I first started training in mixed martial arts, because I'm from Santa Barbara, when him and Bill Cooper were
I didn't
just
know you were
kids.
from Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I was born in Isla Vista, and we
No
have a house
shit.
in Santa Barbara. Yeah,
Dude, I love it up there.
dude, bro, you got to come stay at my house. I mean, we rent it out right now.
In
it's
Santa
rented-
Barbara?
I'm rented out. It's rented out to a family from Sweden, but
Oh,
I'm in the
cool.
place. I'll hook you up, dude. It's bad. You just bring your family up there. It's like a
Santa Barbara's awesome.
Yeah, it's
it
on the
is one of the
Riviera.
best spots. Really is one of the best spots. So what were you saying about Jeff Glover? You knew him from Paragon?
So I've trained with Jeff for years. So Paragon used to be like the size, like 2 of these tables, like in a little room, and so I would go down and walk down from my uncle's house and go down to Paragon when those guys were just starting, and me and Jeff have trained together for years. And Bill too. Bill when he every
Cooper?
time Bill the Grill. Every time I'd come in there, he'd want to go straight wrestling. Like, hey, can we do some takedowns? Because he was trying to work on that part of his game. But like I've trained with Cobrina, I've trained with Hobson Mora, I've trained with Glover. Like whenever I see somebody that can whoop me in jiu-jitsu, I'm going with that guy. I had Hobson come stay at my house. I go and train with Cobrina all the time. I had Glover. I'd always hit him up and go with him. So I've been going with those top-level guys my whole career.
That's huge, though. That's a giant accomplishment for you, and even bigger for Chad to tap Glover. I mean,
That's
God
cool.
damn.
You got to see this guy, man. That's
I'm
what
sure.
That's what I was saying. I always give you shit. I've said it like 2 or 3 times. Where I'm like, let's roll, and you're like, you just want to try to fucking, put it on me and this and that. And I'm like, no, because you're always worried about me and other people's guards. I said this the other day. I'm like, whenever I'm
worried about you and other people's guards.
Like in a fight, I'm talking about your commentary.
When have I ever been worried about you and someone's guard?
What's his name? Michael McDonald. He's like, you're right. Michael McDonald's got a really good closed bottom game.
I have to say that because you have to look out for things.
Say it.
I mean, you have to. If I'm looking at a fight, I'm looking at what's the possibilities here.
Absolutely. I know. I'm just fucking with you.
He does have a good guillotine from his back, but you fucked him up, man.
He has some good triangles. He's got a good game. But
that was a big win for you. That was a big fight.
That was a good fight.
It was a wild fight.
Because that fight, I mean, he was knocking everyone out. And
yeah, he's a weird one, man. Like in his style, because you look at his body, you think like, how is this guy a heavy puncher? And then he just would murk motherfuckers. Oh, you believe it?
It's a weird thing. Cody's like that. Look at him, all skinny and dopey, but he can hit hard.
All right.
I've been giving this guy shit for the last 2 days because of his black eye. He got a black eye. He got elbowed by somebody that was like covering up, kind of scared. And then he boxed with my little Joseph Morales, who's been with me since he's 9. He's a 25-pounder, just had his debut in the UFC. And I'm like, man, Popo got you with that black eye. And he's like, no, it was the elbow. And I'm like, no, man, it was. But I was getting him. He got so pissed. He's like, you're going to make it a real hard day for Joseph next time we spar.
Man, yeah.
Don't you think, though, that having a bunch of people around you that fuck with you like that is actually probably good for you when you get into a situation with a guy like, say, Dominic Cruz, who talks a lot of shit. Yeah. Like, you're so used to it. Like, that was one of the interesting things about that fight. You could tell you're so used to shit talking. It didn't bother you at all. It seemed like it charged you up.
Yeah, because he was getting fired up. I was like, man, Dom doesn't act like that. Like, the way he was acting, like, on our times that we ran into each other. I remember at the Mizugaki fight, he was talking so much shit about me being fatherless and, like, crazy. I'm like, dude, like, it was this, like...
Really?
You could tell he sat around and tried to research this, how he's going to talk shit.
Yeah, he knew that my father was in prison or whatever. I'm like, dude, that's...
Right.
It doesn't matter. So we go through I'm getting ready to film to walk in to fight Mizugaki at 202, and I catch fucking Dom at the corner of my eye, like, look away, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to have to say something to him now. We caught eye. So I'm up to him, and he's like, what's up, man? I was like, don't what's up, man. Me, I was like, you're going to talk shit on the media about it's stupid what you're even saying. Like, I'm going to knock Mizugaki out faster than you did, and I'm going to beat your ass next. And then I was like, I don't slam you on the concrete now, like Bisbing and Daniel Camaro was right there. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he, like, looked back, and he's like, yeah. He's like, you do have daddy issues. Like, said, like, the off-the-wall shit. Like, so I already know he's not about it. Like, he's a great fighter, don't get me wrong. But when it's in that kind of situation, he's not. I knew he was a flight. And then
you knew what?
That he wasn't about to fight her. Like in his interviews.
So you mean he didn't want to brawl with you?
Exactly. He's not a fighter. He's an athlete and he's good at what he does. But I knew that he was different level mentality wise.
But that's a weird statement. Like I've heard people say that before. Like he's an athlete. He's not a fighter. But if he's fighting, he's a fighter. Like, so what's the difference?
I think Dominic actually showed, like, I think he got too brave with Cody. There's a couple times where he's like, all right, I'm going to get in there and show him I can hit hard, and got him in trouble in that fight. I think he's a fighter. I know what he's talking about with athletes that are more athletes and less of a fighter. Like, people say that a lot about George St. Pierre.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if George St. Pierre loves a good, nasty, like, knockdown, drag out. I know TJ Dillashaw, like, he like likes to get punched in the face and punch people back. Cody Garbrandt will stand there and, like, if he gets punched, he'll march guys down with his face down and, like, tell them to hit him again. Like, there's those kind of people that, like, love a fucking, like, a grinding fight, whether he's gonna do it all the time or not. But, like, they have an affinity for it. Like, they enjoy it. And then some people that are, like, playing a sport, consider themselves tough, and don't like that kind of.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Rumble said that about himself. Rumble Johnson said, I'm an athlete. He goes, I'm not a fighter. I'm just really good at it.
Right.
Which I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
What are you chewing over there? Is that what's going on? You got chewing tobacco?
I'm drinking.
Okay, you were spitting in something.
I just had a loogie, man.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't chew. I don't have any vices.
I thought you were getting into that now.
Fuck no.
Yeah, no, that fight leading up with Dominic was everyone thought I was, the emotional one, or the way that he was acting. I was like, man, this is gonna be an easy fight for me.
Right,
like,
because he was out of sorts. He was out of.
It was not like Dominic, to do that.
Well, you were a big threat. That's probably what it was, right?
I gave Dominic credit because I know that Dom knew that was going to be a hard fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I hit him up and I said, hey, bro, thanks for choosing the harder route and talking up the fact that Cody is the next guy, because he went for the toughest fight. Cody was the tough. He knew that.
Yeah, no, he came to fight. He got hit, he got busted, he was leaking. I mean, I was completely gashed. He was still fighting, like, come on, talking. But all the way up till that point where I head kicked him and split him open, and he was talking shit back to me. It was funny. I was like, he's like, what, you little bitch? Like, that didn't hurt. Like, I was laughing, like, oh, don't you lie. Like, don't lie to me. I know that one got, So it was fun. Like, it was figuring him out, but still, like, talking shit to each other, and then going in. And it was great because I'm like, this is a guy that I pictured fighting since I was a teenager. You know what I mean? And got prepared for him. He's,
But you said once he hit that, he stopped talking.
Right. So exactly. Every time I'd hit him, or I hit him with a good shot, or he thought he'd get me with one, we'd go back and forth. And so I head kicked him, and my knee hit him, and then he came back up, and I saw him, like, he great poker face, man. He's tough. He knows how to, when he's hurt, he keeps it going. But his eyes, like, he looked at the blood, and like I saw his pupils go really big. And I was, hey, Dom, you having fun yet? And he didn't answer back. Like, I was like, right then, like that, the third round it was, I knew that I was like, hey, if I just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to win this fight. I'll end up catching him, or, it's my fight. As long as I don't get caught with something. Because he throws looping punches and kicks, and he's very unorthodox. But I knew right then after that, he was like, oh, shit.
This is an interesting fight coming up for you, to be fighting TJ after training with him for so long, and all the bad blood that you guys had with TJ leaving the team and going to train with Dwayne.
It's not so much about the team. There's a lot of confusion about what went down, and it's funny.
Well, let's lay it out for people, because TJ trained with you guys for a long time.
Here's if I send you a text, I'll show you the 4-minute video of him explaining exactly what happened, which is you don't have
to do that, but you tell me from your point of view.
So TJ left the team, said, hey, look, first off, it was
stemmed on Ultimate Fighter with Connor.
What's that?
With the
he came
from that because he was there, and that's when we were defending him. That's why I'm kind of took it to, because I'm all about loyalty, and you don't do that shit.
And Dwayne, I never really liked Dwayne, especially the way he left, because he was a strange guy, and it was always about money and weird things, etc., etc. But he left, and that was fine. That was his deal. TJ was going to try to have him come back and train at our gym for his fight, and Dwayne refused to do it. And I had a talk with TJ, and he's it was crying, and that Dwayne just wanted to focus on his own gym and this and that, and he's like, whatever, and so he's like, I'm going to spend some time there and spend some time here, etc. Like, that's fine. So TJ, when he got there, got some exposure for Muscle Farm, and Muscle Farm was
let me help people out here. Dwayne Ludwig is a former kickboxing champion who was an MMA fighter who fought in the UFC and then went on to be a coach.
For a year and 3 months.
But hold on a second. No. He coaches now a lot, right, with his own gym. But for you guys, he was your striking coach for a little bit.
For a year and 3 months.
And he worked with a bunch of your fighters, and he had a very special relationship with TJ.
Right.
Then he moved out to Denver, to start his own thing. And then Muscle Farm, which has a big gym in Denver, they invited TJ to come train there. So to fill in the blanks for a lot of people that don't know the story, that aren't maybe big time fans.
So then he he basically said that he wanted to he was doing his camps there for about a year and a half.
Right.
He'd spent a little time there, a little time here. Most of the time he lived in Sacramento. Most of the time there, we'd go work with Dwayne. No problem with it. I had cornered with Dwayne even after he left with guys and stuff like that. It wasn't an issue. So then I heard Dwayne actually text me and was like, Dwayne said something like, well, I mean, there's a whole side of the Dwayne thing, which is hilarious, that was him getting weird a year after he left, acting like he was there. He tried to sue me for a figment of his imagination of some money that wasn't even there, and this whole thing. He had one of his students write this thing. So there was something where he said that I had I can't even remember, something I didn't give him a discretionary bonus that was supposed to be given or something like that. And so there was some interminglings about that, whatever. So Dwayne texts me and says, and I said, dude, I never said, I had to set the record straight on Dwayne. And Dwayne texts me and says, hey, I'm not the one trying to steal your team and your fighters. I know there's a team out here in Denver being built, but I'm not a part of that. And I was like, are you talking about, and I had talked to someone else that said that, hey, I heard that Matt Brown and TJ Dillashaw are getting paid to be on this team. And so I come in and I was like, hey, we were talking about some team things, and TJ was in practice. I go, I got the weirdest thing. Dwayne texted me this, and this other guy said this. I said, are you getting like paid to go start a new team or something? And it was Cody was there and Lance was there and all was there. And TJ like lies straight to us about the whole thing. He's like, no, man, no, they offered me, but I'm not. I'm with you guys, you know. Well,
Team Alpha Male.
He's like this and that, and I was like, okay, whatever. Then time goes on, and we have an actual sit down talk. We go eat sometimes and everything. And TJ, Chad Mendez, my buddy Phil, we all go and eat. And TJ just tells me, like, hey man, my next camp, I'm gonna go out to Denver, which he'd already been going out to Denver. It'd been like a year and a half since Dwayne had been gone. It wasn't like he like gone or whatever. And he's like, but Muscle Farm offered me like some real good money to like be part of their team. He's like, so I'm no longer going to be representing Team Alpha Male. I'm going to do my camp out there, and I'm going to, they're going to announce me.
How much money are we talking about?
He told me at the time it was, I think, $4,500
a month.
And they were going to rent him a house. And I go, and I was like, okay. And Chad was sitting right there. TJ was sitting there. I go, well, shoot, man, it was nice having you on the team. And he's like, why are you getting upset? I go, I'm not upset. I'm just saying, like you're off the team then? And he's like, well, yeah. But he's like, but I have a house here. I'm still going to come back and, like, come in and spar and when I'm in town in the off season or whatever. And I'm
so it just felt real weird to you guys.
For real weird. And then I said, well, so he was no longer going to be on our team. He was going to be on a different team. But then he wanted to come in. At the time, I'm ranked number 3 in the world. Cody and him are going at it in practice. It's anybody's given day. We can look at the footage if you guys have the footage. Yeah. But and then Holdsworth 7-0 and had just won the Ultimate Fighter. And so TJ's basically saying he's leaving the team. I go, bro, TJ, I said you can, you're welcome to stay on the team, but like if you're no longer on the team, like, what does that mean? He's like, well, I mean, it's just a good opportunity, man. They don't have to pay. They pay me to train, and like, they're starting a team, and everything's going to be under one roof. And I go, all right, cool. That's fine.
Has anybody ever done that where it worked?
I don't know.
They always try that.
Black House did. Black Zillions did. But here's the thing. So then after that, it was like he was going to leave in 2 weeks, and so me and Cody are sitting in there, and like we hadn't said anything. I told Fabio, our instructor, our jiu-jitsu instructor, what was happening, and he told someone in Brazil, as a Brazilian in Brazil, leaked it out that TJ was changing camps, and there was all this drama and this and that. And then I said, look, TJ, so he was coming in, and TJ was never the best teammate. He would like try to hurt people. He's a very competitive guy, and he has a temper, and like
try to hurt people how?
Cheap shotting.
Cheap shotting.
Shot your house.
We always used
at
to
the end of the bell, boxing, he knee ya.
He knee
like,
I'd be like, no
shit.
knees. He's like, I just need him to the body. I'm like, yeah, we're boxing sparring.
He knees you to the body in boxing sparring?
There's no secret about TJ's.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it when he was still on the team also, that he had to be like reeled in a little bit, right? He's just got a temper.
That's why you called him Killishaw?
Yeah, Killishaw, Dillashank, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was his thing, He had
so
to like
just
watch
super
it.
competitive, aggressive guy.
And cheap shots, yes.
Yeah, the super competitiveness, like I'm competitive. I don't want to lose. Someone takes me, I'm fighting tooth and nail not to get taken down or get that extra or win that round. It just, at the end of the bell, knees, that's why Chris is out. You know what I mean? Need him in the back of the head for
that's
concussions.
it. Yeah.
I mean,
Chris Holdsworth? That's where the injury came from?
I don't want to. Chris doesn't want us really talking about that.
Well, but that's the truth.
Happened?
We're talking about cheap shot, and that's
what was it
that
again?
I mean, he doesn't care if we talk about it. I mean, I guess
it's the truth.
What happened? How did it go?
I'm not to say it. I don't know. It's TJ's.
It was him and TJ going.
Business.
I remember distinctively, Dwayne used to come up to Chris and be like, "Hey, like Grasshopper." He's like, we have TJ's fighting. He's,
Can you take it easy on him?
Can you take it easy on him? And Chris is a killer.
Chris
is fucking him up. Everybody. I mean, Chris was an animal, and I guess Chris choked him out, and TJ got out and fucking hit him in the back of the head
when he's down on the mat.
When he was down on the mat.
In
Illegally.
a grappling match? Or were they sparring MMA?
It was sparring, but
knees to the back of the head. That's what.
Wow.
After Chris submitted him. I mean, just dirty shit. Like, I've been a couple times. I told.
So Chris let him up. Let him submitted him, let him off, and then TJ kneed him in the back of the head.
I don't know if that's exactly how it was. I remember seeing the whole thing. I don't really want to get into this because it's Chris's gig, man.
Yeah,
Myself.
that's fine.
But we already got into it.
Yeah, we alreking got into it.
But yeah, so
we're talking about TJ being a cheap shot.
Caused him. That's what literally killed Chris's career.
Yeah.
Majority of,
Whoa.
I mean, obviously concussions. Yeah, I'm real good friends with Chris, and
They lived together. They lived together.
Yeah, he went through it. That's why his last fight was. He had to fight with concussion because he was scheduled to fight.
It happened
Chris is
twice in
grinders.
practice like that.
And we've all it's one of the things that when I first came out there, I was never real close with TJ. I was out there, I was doing well with the guys, and a couple of the guys told me like, "Man, TJ can't wait to spar you." This is when he was coming off his Rafael Sinsal loss. I was like, "Cool, like fuck it, I can't wait to spar with him either. He's a competitor, and it's gonna be a good round, And I was pre-warned, like, "Hey, TJ does some cheap shit. Just keep it cool." And there's video I think I have of some one of the kids that was a boxing, and he sent it to me months ago. TJ like cheap shot me after the bell, and I was like, telling TJ, I said, "Look, motherfucker, you cheap shot me again. We're taking the gloves off. We're going in the street and fighting."
Yeah, I had to talk Cody down twice because of that.
Yeah, I just don't ever like that, especially teammates. You don't do that shit. Like, hey, you get me, but don't cheap shot me at the end of the bell. And then as soon as you're hitting someone after the cheap shot, you're like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry." Like, you know what you're doing.
So anyways, that being said, we knew that was part of TJ's thing, but now he's no longer part of our team, and he's also getting paid to go somewhere else. He's no longer contributing in any way, and he wants to come in and spar our guys and he basically wanted to be on our team, benefit of our team without being a part of the team anymore and getting paid to be somewhere else. Right. Which I would have been fine if he talked to me about like, "Hey, I'm going to work something out where I go get paid and do this, whatever." But then I'm like, okay, so that whole week he's in there, and he's sitting there watching me and Cody in practice, and I don't care. I mean, TJ is a competitive. He's always looking for edge. That whole week prior to telling us that he was leaving, he kept getting like, "Hey, getting some proprietary series and this series. There's a single leg guard series I used to get him with." And he's like having me and Martin Campman show him all this stuff we were working on. "Hey, can you show me this and show me that?" Like the week before, and then. So I go, "TJ, look, man, this is getting awkward in practice." I said, "Look, I had him over at my house, and I said, look, we can build a friendship however we want to do it." I said, "But this is getting awkward, and like you being in practice and you no longer being on the team and everything else, like, let's finish out this last couple days, and then, you be on your team. We can be friends on the outside. We can work on that as a deal, whatever." And he's like he wanted to come in and train with our team still, as not part of the team.
Right.
And then I was like, "But you're welcome to stay on our team, obviously, if you want, and continue to do your camps and whatnot." And he is just like out. So that at that point, it became him taking this opportunity, going to Denver, being with Dwayne, getting paid to do the Muscle Farm thing. And then the whole thing with Conor happened on the TV show before this. Before any of this happened, Conor McGregor started calling him a
snake.
A snake, because me and Conor had one conversation. We were sitting there, and he goes, "Man, congratulations on TJ defending his belt," because he was still on our team, his last title defense. Mm-hmm. And I go, "Thanks." He goes, "But what's up with Dwayne saying that no one on your team wants to be champions? That's weird." I said, "Oh, he's just bitter because, he's trying to get everyone to go out to his camp, but, he's just being a hater, this and that." And he goes, he took that little bit of drama between me and Dwayne, like Dwayne saying that no one on our team wanted to be your champions, including Cody, who sent him a tweet that said, "Hey, keep my name out of your mouth. You're like a jealous girlfriend," or whatever. And he took that one little thing, and then next time he saw TG, he goes, "Oh, there's a snake in the grass," and just built it in this big thing. So that's
crazy how well he is.
He's so good at seeing people, right?
Shit. Yeah.
So that took. Like what really happened, which was TJ got paid to go somewhere else. Me saying, "All right, fine, if you're going to do that, it's cool, but if you're on that team, you're on that team." And then Conor turned the public around on him.
Yeah.
Because it came out later after the thing. And so then TJ became the victim. And then now TJ's new story is that I got mad that he was training with Dwayne Ludwig, and I kicked him off the team.
Well, TJ now has a snake as his logo.
I know.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
On the Ultimate Fighter, he brought in snakes. You know what I mean? He's at home with it. He's cool with it. So it's all good.
How weird.
Rewind it back a little bit.
Like, if you want to be friends, let's be friends, but don't lie.
Rewind back to it. I remember going to Canada. It was during the Ultimate Fighter, sticking up for TJ, because TJ wasn't saying nothing. Conor was basically, like inviting him to fight, and TJ's like, yeah, like nonchalant, like whatever about it, but wasn't defending himself. Like, I'm not a snake. If someone calling me a snake in the grass and saying I was like disloyal to my teammates and shit, we're fighting. And that's why I stuck up for TJ, because TJ's literally, I'm like, we're partying in Vegas, we're having a good time, like for the first time
you
hanging
had
out with,
kind of a heart to heart with him
with
too.
TJ, and he's like. So he's telling me this shit, like, he's like, dude, I'm with you guys, like, I'm not leaving, fuck that, like, I'm with you guys. So I'm like, this is not even that I'm not that close with TJ, but he's part of our team. Crew. He's a champion. Right. He's, when you're a champion, you get taken care of, and people, I'll defend him. So Conor was doing that. He's like, what are you guys going to do? And it was talking about TJ. So I was like, man, I'll do something about it. Like, you're asking for a fight, we'll fight. And broke into the pushing match, and it was going out to the outside. Because that's TJ saying that he was with us. So I'm like, dude, he's not going to talk about my team.
So how does it feel now, knowing that you're going to defend against TJ with all this weird drama, all this bullshit?
For me, I don't ever get wrapped up into it. It might look like that with the show, and this my life's been like this. I can live and prosper and focus on when it's time to focus and die. It's like flipping a switch. Mm-hmm. Like, I can be doing the dumbest shit. Like, you're fighting Dominic Cruz, we're in the back just doing dumb shit. Like, I'm not even warming up. I'm just flipping the switch. I always was like that since I was a little kid, like wrestling, football. Just when the lights shine, that's when I shine the brightest. I always feel like. And now with TJ, I don't respect him as a person, but it doesn't mean I don't respect him as a fighter. The guy is skillful, he's mean as fuck, and he's gonna bring a fight that's gonna be what I love, a challenge. Like with TJ, it's gonna be a challenge. I know him like the back of my hand. My coaches know him like the back of my hand. We were able to dissect Dominic Cruz for me. Through all their experiences. This is a guy they built up that was there longer than I've been. I went out there at 1-0. I had 10 fights now with the team Alpha Male, and 11-0 world champion. Through their, obviously I was skilled before I got there. We blended together. They had the recipe for success. I listened and followed lead with Faber and a lot of other guys on the team. And so we know TJ. I know what he's going to do. I know what I have to be prepared for. So I'm excited for it. Like, all the drama, bullshit, hey, whatever. Like, it's going on too long. Like, I'm just ready to focus on this fight and go in there and do what I have to do to get this win against him.
Well, you have a good mindset, and I mean, think that is a gigantic part of what makes someone successful in the sport is being able to do that. Like you said, having the confidence that you're going to shine the brightest when the lights are on. And having this mindset, like you're appreciating the fact that TJ's mean and skillful, because it's going to give you a great challenge.
Yeah, it's like, man, I'm sitting on the couch or something. Like, what do you think TJ's doing? He's sitting on the couch. So you're getting up and going to do the extra road work, because TJ is a workhorse like that.
Right.
So that for me makes me motivated. I need these guys to keep me motivated. Like Dominic, I watched the embeddeds of him. He was running alone, like a sob story on Christmas. Like, I just got to do this. I like it. I'm sitting there,
We're having a party.
Yeah, having a party. Like, man, I'm enjoying this shit. Like, I'm about to fight for my first title. I'll never have this time again in my life. I'll never fight for my first world title. Now I'm finally getting to defend my title. Who cares? We were talking about this. A lot of people win the title, but what the fuck do they do with it?
Right.
Now it's about creating that legacy. And now I have TJ, who's, man, he's a bad motherfucker. He was ranked in the pound for pound before in the top 10.
Sure.
He's a killer. So I'm going to catapult my career with him, and I know what I'm going to do with him. Like I said, I've been with 1-0 when I was green as hell, just boxing, wrestling, athletic, loved to fight. Now I've blended and found my own style, and just finally getting really composed in there where I can let my skills show off. And I'm fighting higher people, so like my skill level rises. I've always was like that.
Now, what is this video supposedly of you knocking him out?
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh yeah, true.
True, yeah.
How come you guys didn't release it?
First off, I don't
it's not
have
my
it.
video.
I have seen it.
It's Justin. It was on Justin's GoPro.
Oh.
And dude, I felt bad, not bad for it, because it was just whatever. TJ followed me around the gym, like wherever I would go, I'd put my gym bag away, like this. He'd be like, hey man, like I slipped, dude. I'm like, okay, TJ, like literally, like he was off his rocker about it. I'm like, okay, TJ, you slipped.
Super competitive.
It's right before the Eastern fight.
How did it go down? What happened?
I remember him throwing doing his little footwork, and then he did the jump down. He does the uppercut, and I just threw overhand right. Boom, melted him out. And he got up, and he was literally he's fighting Easton right before the Easton fight. 'Cause I remember the date.
He didn't go out cold like flat out. He just got dropped.
He dropped and then came back up, and he was on stanky leg like walking, and he's going, "Come on, motherfucker, hit me!" I'm like, I'm like pulling my jibe out, like no.
He was saying that after you dropped him.
Yeah, he's a fucking nut. I love it. So
he's always like,
got up, he's like,
TJ's a fucking nut.
Come on, motherfucker.
So it wasn't a knockout as much as it was you just dropped him.
Yeah,
I dropped him to his. I mean, his legs forward out,
and then he got back up and started saying, "Come on, motherfucker!" So he was conscious, right? And he knew that he
was
hit.
staggering, bro. He looked like John Dodson had him on skates again. Honestly, that's what I was like. Oh, okay. And I was like, I'm not gonna hit him. You're fighting in 2 weeks. I wasn't like that. But literally, he had to say he fell forward. He slipped. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not gonna say anyone, And then I was showing Danny how I like Castillo because he likes overhand rights. How I like throw my head off the lane, bring the right hand, this and that. And then Buckles comes over. He's like, dude. He goes. And it was Christmas Day or something sparring.
Buckles was filming his own
sparring. He's like, dude, I watched you knock TJ out. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, I have it on my GoPro. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then nothing ever came about it. And then TJ was saying that he used to make me cry in practice. No, I have cried in practice before because this motherfucker jumped me on my head before the Almeida fight. I was like super mad about it. Faber comes in, has a camera crew, the Pure Slabs. And like we're going hard and like dumps me on my head. I'm like, oh, I get mad. I'm like, what I'm like trying not to get hurt before the fight. So like I've never cried. TJ never made me cry. So I was like, what is he talking about making me cry? Like I'll admit if I cried in practice.
So when you get dumped on your head, did you get concussed or something? Or did you get hurt?
More of like Faber thinks I'm like, huh? Faber, he's out. He cried.
Pride.
Yeah.
Pride. He's saying.
Faber comes in just.
Come on. I don't barely remember this. I think what's happened. First off, here's the thing. Cody is a dangerous, dangerous motherfucker. If you're not on even if he's not trying to, you're getting fucking rocked or hurt or whatever. So I have to be on A game with him, even if you're going light, unless he's going to go light. But light doesn't work when the guy's accurate and strong and everything else. So we had to go. So it was just like a wizard hip heist.
Launched me, dude. Launched me on my head.
Well, because you were coming after me. He was
camera
coming after me like a wild animal.
Like, so I know now when there's a camera crew fall in Favor, it's not light, it's fucking a fight. So I'm prepared for that. So that's where all that came from about the video and like coming out. Like we have the video of you getting knocked out, TJ. You didn't make it. He was saying he beat us all up, like with the Dominic sit down.
No, I think Dwayne was maybe saying that or something.
Well, he said that Dominic's like, oh, you beat your teammates up. He's like, yeah, I actually, for a matter of fact, have been beating them up. Like, I'm like,
I don't follow most of this stuff.
What's your thoughts on sparring? Like, do you think that you should be sparring hard, or do you think you should be sparring technical and pull back on shots, or do you think you should have a little bit of both?
I think a little bit of both. I think beginning of camp, you get your rounds in to where you're feeling comfortable, and then later on in camp, your technique, your combos that you're working, kind of like fight simulation, but get those rounds in because you're not wanting to beat your body up close to the fight.
Right.
I want to feel fresh at the fight, and that's how I've always used. I would literally get 50 rounds of sparring, start tapering off towards the end of the fight camp, as it's called in boxing. Really,
and
no
do you
fight
try
camps.
in camp? Do you try to spar with only people that you know, so that you know that you can trust them? So like especially obviously this TJ fight's a giant fight,
huge fight,
and it's going to be huge not just for the division but for the sport. I mean, all the major fans are going to be paying attention to this fight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm safe with it now. Like we were talking about, I've had all these fights logged in, not even just all the street fights, all the boxing matches, the sparring work. I don't need to spar as much,
right?
But I need to. We were sparring 10 rounds for the Cruz fight, 10 straight fives, 8 to 10 each week. And I'm like, Buckles is kind of, it worked, you know what I mean? But we were doing smaller glove, more MMA based. The big gloves, I mean, techniques are out the window.
Right.
People just sprawl and brawl kind of shit. Like, I like small glove. You're still peppering the shots, hitting them, but you're working the whole game. Takedowns, submissions.
Right.
So I like that. And also fight simulations. I like having my uncle come out, pad holder, Justin's the other pad holder for, and then Danny, Faber, have like 4 different bodies where they're on you. It's like a fight. They're on. Right. Next thing you know, you're hitting pads and you get tackled from behind. You have to work up. Things like that. It's safe. You're not. And that's technically what I like to do.
Yeah, there is nothing like, like we talked about running, sprinting, and blowing out the lungs, etc. There's nothing like actual like intense sparring to simulate what it feels like in a fight though, and it's as familiar as you get with it, it still feels horrible when it happens. Like I've always been known as like the conditioning guy. Like I can condition and like never get tired, etc., in fights. I mean, you get tired. It's about the poker face. It's about being familiar with it. It's about like these things.
Being comfortable with it.
Yeah, being comfortable with it. So you have to get there sometimes, and it's just being smart about it.
Yeah, Cowboy doesn't spar anymore.
Really?
Cowboy essentially does mostly drills and pad work and simulations and stuff like that. And if he does spar, I think he spars super light because he was realizing that he was beating himself up too much in training and coming into fights like already kind of a little soft. Not soft, but
Yeah, I trained
hurt.
with them for a week, and that's what he loved to do. Fucking treadmill, bike workouts, and sparring and pad work. Nothing really else. Didn't wrestle, jits. He just loved sparring, doing all that. So, yeah,
he sparred hard though?
I mean, he would spar Jackson.
I heard he's like a killer, knocking dudes out in the gym like a nasty fucking sparring partner. Cowboy.
Well, maybe that's one of the reasons why he stopped doing it.
Probably, yeah.
Just maybe all that stuff just... I mean, look, you can't always be the hammer. If you're having those kind of rock'em sock'em robot sparring sessions, you're going to get tagged. For sure, right?
Absolutely.
For me, I like getting in those. We just had Saturday sparring with a lot of the good guys.
Yeah, we had a killer's row of sparring going on this last weekend.
10 rounds.
You got to get those in sometimes.
Those for me, like, I've been out of it for a little bit. Like, just knowing that it's a couple, weeks, knock the rust off, and sparring, it feels good, but you feel good about it. Like, you're like, wow, like, we're going to go in here and fight. And I know what the fight that TJ's going to bring, it's going to be, I hope it's a phone booth. I hope it, stand and trade. Let's see. I don't know how he's going to, because he knows my skills and knows that I've, literally have gotten so much better since then. And I was still getting the better of him. And I'm not even to toot my own horn or whatever. It's the gym. But you're as competitive as he is and competitive I am, you're not going to give an edge in practice. I don't give an edge in practice. Faber takes me down. We're going again. It's vice versa. I take Faber down. Like, oh, it's overtime. We go 40 minutes after sometimes. It's like, this guy's one of the hardest guys to break because he's just, I don't know if he's too dumb to know he's tired or stop going, but I'm like, damn, dude, like, you're retired. Like, we were just talking about that. And now he's retired, so he comes in, like, these guys are like
fresh.
He's all fresh, but comes in, like, this guy's retired. Like, I'm going to fuck Faber up. And this guy's breaking these younger dudes that are killers themselves because he just has that mentality. It's a different breed. And that's what like I said, TJ, he's that breed.
He is that breed.
To that point.
He's an alpha male guy, unfortunately.
So for me,
do you guys feel like you could ever reconcile, or do you feel like he's crossed a line into some weird sort of treacherous area?
I did so much defending of that guy because of he's whatever his thing is here and this and that, and I have a lot of great friends that are newer. I mean, like Cody's newer in my life, but we've got a bond. I've got friends that I've had since I was like kindergarten and before kindergarten and growing up together, in my community. And like, I've got great groups of friends. So it's like, I mean, I can reconcile whatever. Just stop lying about what actually happened to save your face. It's like, I'd never kick the guy off of a team or anything. And then he gets one opportunity on national television to say something about me. That's my only qualm with the guy. I didn't like Dwayne because of the things that he had done. But TJ and I were always cool.
Work,
right?
I still made it work.
Is that one of the weirdest things about running a gym and running a camp? Is that you kind of have to manage. You almost have to be like a psychologist.
Everyone's personalities.
Oh my gosh, dude.
A lot of fighters are prima donnas, and
you're almost
fighters.
Not just a trainer, not just a teammate, but you're also a psychologist and some sort of a counselor.
I have to be glue. When I honestly, I'm just learning this more and more. When I step out of the area too much, it's like, I mean, I have to come back in and put out fires and bring everyone back together. And I would say that's one of my skills is getting along with people and making things mesh and finding a culture and building like a healthy environment. And like that can get tweaked so easily. It's crazy. It's cancer.
Yeah. And now Justin Buchholz is your main trainer now, right? He's like
what we've gone to now is we have like a whole staff of main trainers because we have so many fighters. I mean, we just had Sage Northcutt, Yair Rodriguez, and Sarah McMahon are in the gym right now.
Nice.
And Rick Glenn is about to go, and he's a new guy to the team. And then we've got, Darren Elkins. So we have different guys like Danny Castillo's a head coach, Chris Holdreth's a head coach, Coach Joey Rodriguez is a head coach, Danny Castillo's a head coach. We have Fabio Prado, who's a coach, Dustin Akbari, and those guys have been with us for 14 years, 13 years. And I'm in a lead position as a coach. I run practices and oversee things and coordinate things.
It's a co-op.
So it's a big co-op, and different people have different coaches that are like their main gig, and different skill sets.
Justin's still fairly young too, right? How old's Justin? He's like 34?
Yeah, he's 35, I think.
And is he completely done competing?
That's a great question. You never know with the fight game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It only takes a yes to be back in the fight game. But
sometimes guys, when they coach, they also feel like they're getting better because they understand things more.
Right.
You see that a lot with jiu-jitsu competitors. A lot of times coaching makes them a better fighter.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if he'll come back, but I mean, what we've got is a great co-op, and it's always a struggle to keep things because there's going to be cliques. There's going to be the potheads and the nerds and the fucking jocks
the
and
dopers.
And like whatever.
Fucking
It's like-
Fucking dopers. So are you enjoying it still?
Oh
After
yeah,
all
I am.
these years in the game?
Dude, it was awesome. I went to Mexico City and I missed Chad's wedding to go, and Chad's my boy. I love Chad. I love Abby, his wife, and I know I missed a great time. But I got to go corner Joseph Morales, who's been with me since he's the oldest member of our team.
Wow.
He's been with us the longest. And he was 9 years old when he started with us.
That's crazy.
And he,
9.
yeah.
like Danny Castillo, it was me and Danny Castillo and our coach Joey in his corner, and Danny was getting all teared up. Like, we all got teared up right before the fight. Like, we brought it in, and everyone's kind of crying and everything. And, like, Joseph's, I mean, he's been through his struggles. When he was going through a hard time, I took him to the front row of a UFC and just, put him right there and let him visualize. And so that's the stuff I enjoy.
Now, you guys had Yair in camp, huh?
Yes.
What a crazy
He's staying at my
style.
house right now. He's all by himself in a big old house.
What a crazy style that guy's got.
Dude, he's a talent. He's a really talented guy.
Weird style, too, right? Like that Taekwondo-based
Yeah.
kicking and wild shit. Like when he hit BJ Penn with a 360 roundhouse kick to the face,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He's
guy's
he
doing
got
crazy
good
shit.
range. It's crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good range. He even said that his hands, I'm not so good with the range and like knowing like my kicks. I'm real accurate with his kicks. And he says I kick harder and stuff. So I think that's just
Yeah, he feels like he's more accurate with his
Kicks
faster
and
with his
faster
kicks
and
than he is with
powerful
his hands.
Well,
was
there's
what he
less
said.
consequences if he's not doing it with someone who's also a great kicker, because he's
Yeah.
able to operate in a range where he's pretty effective and most people aren't.
Yeah, so
he's a long kicker too.
Yeah, and
His-
he's been staying at my house the last week, and so I'm getting to know him a lot. And I mean, what a cool dude. I mean, that guy's
Very smart guy.
Very smart. He's like well put together. I got to hear a little bit about like the town he's from, Chihuahua in Mexico, and like it's a pretty scary place, and kind of his journey as a young kid as one of the top karate guys in Mexico. So he's been a competitor for a long time. He used to have a coach that used to like hit him with a stick, so they left that place, and the guy called him back and was like, "Can you please come back?" And
I won't hit you with a stick
when he was
anymore.
like, when he was like 7 and 8,
stick away.
Jesus Christ.
So he's been in a in the combat sport for a while.
Yeah, I think that Frankie Edgar fight was a very tough fight for him, but a good fight as far as a learning experience.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people had said that, and I was one of the ones that said it. Like, we'll see what happens when he fights a great wrestler. Like, that's going to be the real issue with him because he's got all this wild kicking stuff, but that stuff doesn't work if somebody grabs a hold of you.
Right.
It's
And if somebody
like
can
Frankie.
control you. Someone like Frankie. Yeah.
MMA
Frankie's on a
control.
different level of
Yeah,
that,
guy
too.
is.
He's great at mixing it together. So Yair, his wrestling, because I got to wrestle him the other day. He actually posted a little video of us wrestling. But his wrestling is good. It's just like Conor. Conor's wrestling or boxing is really good. It's just not Floyd Mayweather good.
Right.
In the later rounds, So, like, Yair's made a lot of gains. He went and trained with Israel Martinez, who put him through like he's a great coach, Israel.
Very good
And
coach.
he put him through like a whole year of wrestling. So his wrestling's top notch, but it's not,
It needs to get to another
not
level.
Frankie Edgar level.
Right.
When you're a little bit fatigued and you make a small mistake and the guy can capitalize, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's interesting. You see so many different approaches, and his approach is very unique. And it's one of the things that's exciting about him is that he's got that crazy, wild kicking style.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll throw everything.
Yeah. Yeah, he torpedo kicks, all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
That's a guy I like to mix up with because you don't see too many of those guys, but once you run into them,
Right. Yeah.
oh, you better, you gotta be prepared for
Yeah,
him.
and it's good to watch him and Feely were training. You know, he
Feely
got
does
a
a lot
win.
of
He
stuff,
got a
too.
win over Feely.
Yeah.
But like Feely felt like, oh man, I was in that fight. He just got caught. He got popped in the orbital and then got like couldn't see and got switch kicked to the dome. And so Feely's like, man, it's fun to watch these guys come full circle. Like Yair beat Feely, and now they're training together and working together a little bit. And then Darren Elkins lost to Chad, and Darren Elkins came to see us, and he's been on like a 6-fight win streak. That guy's
Yeah.
a friggin' gem,
Yeah.
dude. Huh?
Dude, that fight
I
with
love that guy.
Mirsad Bektik was one of the craziest moments I've ever seen in the octagon. Getting his ass kicked for every fucking second of the first couple rounds, and then finally gets a hold of him,
The damage.
beats him down and KOs him, and then just screams like a demon,
Yeah.
covered in blood.
I was sitting there. I left during the second round. I was like, man, I can't watch this. Like, I don't like watching my friends, and especially when shit like that happens. I'm like, I walked out, and next thing you know, the place goes nuts, and I see Elkins, knocked him out. I was like, holy, that kid. You got to, honestly,
Yeah.
to stop Elkins, you have to knock
Got
him
to
the
shut
fuck out.
his
Yeah.
shut
Brain
his
off.
system off.
For,
Yeah,
for sure. I
so
mean,
tough.
Elkins is the pillar of consistency. He's always he's always at every practice, listens to every coach. He going hard. We have these two Chechnyan brothers that come in. They're from Chechnya. They're really talented guys. I'm actually going to go corner the guys over in Ukraine. But they're super skilled fighters, but don't have that grind like we have here. And so they keep popping him, boom, 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 and then they keep trying to call timeout. They like catch him with a couple things, and Elkins chasing out. They go, you're not taking a timeout. He fucking grabs the guy
Why do they try to take time?
because they get tired.
Yeah. The funniest shit.
They'll be pop, just flap. His head will fly back. Boom, hit him there, kick him in the leg, and he's like.
Keeps
Then
forward.
they're like, he like catches him with something and like grabs him, like, oh, timeout. He's like, fuck that, motherfucker.
Dude,
No timeout.
Elkins is a grinder.
Yeah, he's great.
Grinder.
He looked great against Dennis Bermudez. That's a big win. That's a
Awesome.
big win.
Yeah.
Bermudez, and he looked smooth in that fight.
Smooth.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
take as much damage. His name's Damage for a reason because he gets so much
But it's
damage.
also like the way he's moving looks better.
Yep.
Yeah.
The way he's kicking and punching, his combinations. He
And
looks
that's-
like he's got less extra steps. It's like there's all
Yep.
smoothness in his transitions and his movements.
That's what we've been working on. And go ahead.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with obviously working the footwork. Like these guys, some of these guys are straight wrestlers, and then like, all right, we're gonna wrestle and throw punches and try to take you down. But it's the footwork is
Right.
the core of everything. Yeah, you can throw good hands, but if your feet are out of position, you're getting taken down. You're not gonna land power punches. So the footwork, I religiously work on footwork daily.
Yeah.
Like that's all
Me
I
too.
do is footwork.
Well,
That
if you look
saved
at
me.
Dominic, I mean, that is his entire thing. Is his ability to move is just so unusual. His footwork is so weird. And
Right.
that's one of the things where you went toe for toe for him, toe to
Right.
toe with him. When your footwork was equally as good as his, if not better, and you were landing harder combinations.
For
Hard
us,
ones, yep.
Master Tong was all about footwork and body mechanics, and he's back in Thailand now. And then that's been passed on to our next generation of coaches. From
Did he move
Justin.
back?
He did move back after 11 years.
Why did he decide to move back to Thailand?
Became a monk for a day.
He came on for a day because his parents had died. If you don't go and live in the monastery for within a year and a half after, he hadn't seen his son in 11 years since his son was 4.
wow.
And he spent all his time FaceTiming with his family, and he wasn't necessarily allowed back. And when he went back, he's stuck back.
He wasn't allowed back? How
No.
come?
Illegal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so he couldn't come back to America if he went back to Thailand.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
he was gone because he overstayed a visa.
Oh, I see.
So he so that's when you saw TJ Dillashaw in my corner in Canada.
Uh-huh.
That's because Master Tong couldn't go to Canada, and TJ knew every single thing that Master Tong knew all his stuff and could hold mitts. But he was all about that. And now, that's what's great about having all these coaches. Like Justin Buckles, he knows Master Tong's style. He knows my style. He knows every coach you've ever had in there. Dwayne's style. He knows anybody. Dimitri Madonik. Dimitri Madonic's style. Anybody that's been in here, he knows Bob's
My uncle's style,
Uncle
yeah.
Bob's style. And so you get a guy like Darren Elkins that needs to work on that striking, and we put him with Justin Buckles, and with the cumulative part of the team, it works wonders. And then you get a guy like Yair who comes in with this striking background, and now we've got all these different attributes. Or like a Sage Northcutt who's with us right now. That guy's let's take a moment to acknowledge Sage Northcutt is the nicest guy on the planet.
The nicest.
Dude, he's
guy.
legitimately like the nicest dude on the planet.
Do you think that guy got into the UFC too quick? And just like
Maybe
was
a little bit, but it doesn't
young
matter.
Guy, super talented, and was looking really good in some small organizations, but really didn't have a complete game yet.
I'm gonna tell you, he learns really, really fast. I always mess with Cody. I always get this guy. I'm like, man, Sage learns a lot faster than you. I mean, it's not really the case. I just like to fuck with this guy, but
doesn't Sage have a sister that's a karate competitor too?
Yeah. Yep.
Did she fight MMA?
She took her first fight and she lost. Yeah. But she has some potential too.
That's interesting. So he's a fun case, because he's got that weird karate style. He's super fast, super explosive.
He's got a mean streak too, though. I mean, you wouldn't know it, but he's got a little mean streak, and he's got all the knowledge. Like everybody, because he's nice, everybody wants to help the guy, and he's so nice that he was just like, "Oh, thank you," and just learn from whoever tells him. Calls me Mr. Faber.
That's awesome, Mr. Faber.
Mr. Faber.
Now, when you guys do a camp, like say you training for TJ, who organizes your camp? Like, how do you organize your strength and conditioning routine? How do you organize what you're going to do that day, or do you do it based on how you feel? Who's the coordinator?
Myself, basically. That's what we do. Faber always would preach about, hey, it's a lifestyle change. If you need to do this much work, you need to do wrestling, get some guys on the team and wrestle. So I'll figure out what I need to do, especially for this fight with TJ. I know the specific work that I need, combos, what he throws, what he likes to do, vice versa. So I get with all my coaches, hey, I would like to have this much work with Chris, personals, this much work with motion and movement with Faber, pad work. I have my uncle come out and do pad work as well. And then I get with my strength and conditioning coach where I'm going 3 times a week.
Right.
Usually 1 heavy day, 2 movement, footwork, greasing the body. So it's just always usually on that Sunday, we're hey, we lay it out, boom, lay it out. So
you lay out the whole week in advance.
Week.
So when you have a heavy day, say if you have a rock'em sock'em rowettes day, the next day, do you like to do yoga, stretch out, do movement, hit pads? How do you work it?
I usually go Sundays kind of a what do you call it? A shakeout kind of workout. Active rest where you're moving, doing some footwork.
Recovery.
Yeah. So I don't feel like garbage on Monday. Monday we hit it hard, usually morning practice or pad works in the afternoon, and then jiu-jitsu. So it's usually 3 on Mondays. Tuesdays I usually just wrestle and maybe do some pad work because I like to kind of be rested for sparring because sparring is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I do sparring on Wednesday. And then I'll usually do a strength conditioning workout after sparring. And on Thursdays, usually my no impact day. I usually kind of it's wrestling. Sometimes I'll go in there and just wrestle. If I feel good, I'll drill. I won't go live. And then I'll do yoga or more of my hyperbaric chambers. I like to go towards the end of the week after the sparring because Friday it's an MMA practice, so it's everything. You're doing the sparring, MMA, you're doing the grappling.
So is this trial and error that's led you to this schedule that gives you the thought to take Thursday light and then go hard on Friday, Monday hard, Sunday light?
Yeah, this is what has worked for me since I said I came out here. Literally, I was doing my own strength and conditioning before I came out to Team Alpha Male, and I was hitting pads with my uncle, and I would go in and spar. I wouldn't even MMA spar. I would do boxing with takedowns. That's all we would do because a lot of the boxers I was with wrestled or you know what I mean. So we would just do the boxing or wrestling. So we never do. The boxers didn't want kicked. Right. So we were just doing that. I get my work, and I was working with Paul Spadafora, a lot of these boxers in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And I finally came out here, and these guys had it
a system,
a wrestling system. Now, that's why they do so well because they do the drilling. You start out with this. We're going to go wrestling, and then we're going to go in the clinch. Back to strikes, fit-ins. And it goes from this. It's structure. Yeah. So I never knew any of that. First time I really trained jiu-jitsu was out here, learning it and blending it together. I always, like I said, I was a good athlete, good wrestler, good fighter, good boxer, but I found my own, style here with going and doing. Really, the first year that I was here, I was just training I was in the gym.
Yeah, he actually told me, he's like, bro, this is like a little, we had to tone it back a little bit, which, like I said, we have this team was built on overtraining. It was like I didn't take a vacation for 7 years when I started fighting. I mean, I never took vacations growing up either. We didn't have money. It wasn't like something that we did. So I'm not like used to like, oh, we're taking a vacation. But like 7 years I didn't take a vacation. And so it was like this grind, and everybody's kind of keeping up. And we've shifted and gotten smarter and had more input and et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line for me is this. We have a lot of advisors, right? And like Sage Northcutt's a great example. He'll listen to whoever's talking to him. And people want to talk to him all the time and tell him what to do, right? So, like, there's an advisory, like we say, hey, this is the coaches, and I think that you need to do this and we need to do that. But you have to be, especially at a high level like this, you have to be a thermometer for your own stuff as well. So we have set practices throughout the day, but if you're feeling way too beat up, because we're not worried about guys not showing up to practice because they're lazy. We have the best athletes in the world with the right mentality. We trust that the mentality and the purpose is there and right. So if you're feeling too much, you got to let us know, and we'll take a little back and do it there. And so this is kind of what we found for him as work.
Now, when you're scheduling everything yourself, like there's two schools of thought on that. There's like one school of thought that says someone should be overseeing everything for you, so you don't have to think about shit.
We're not telling you what to do. Scheduling is one thing. But what you're scheduling, he's scheduling something with a coach. He's got a strength and conditioning and a physical therapist that are taking that part of his thing. He's got us as head coaches overlooking, saying, hey, we need to make sure that you're getting your this in. But there's coaches every single time for that. It's not like you're just on your own doing your shit.
Of course, right. And some people do it that way.
Yeah.
Some people like to do everything on their own, which is interesting.
And some people just like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like just here, you're gonna do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that goes away when somebody fucks you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's like my strength and conditioning coaches, PT coaches, with my MMA coaches. They're all in like coordinates. Like, hey, we went heavy with this. We should ease back this. Maybe do this many rounds. So. But that's just started doing that. I think for the cruise fight, the first time I wore a heart rate monitor and trying to like track where my heart rate was at. I was getting up the high in the 180s and then trying to bring it back down. That's the first time I ever done that. Because
and when you're doing that, are you doing that for strength and conditioning, or are you doing that holding pads? Like how you doing that?
That was literally, we would throw for 90 seconds. We do it for 6 rounds. I would throw the same combo. We had 3 or 4 different combos that we'd throw for 90 seconds. And just keep that input up.
So it's just ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-boom,
yeah, it'd be
ba-ba-boom.
4 or 5 punch combo and finish with the kick. Boom, or something, whatever the combo was.
So your heart rates get jacked, and then you wait till it gets down to what before you go again?
And then I think you would...
Like 140 or something?
I was getting it down, I think, lower than that. And then going back up from like 180. Yeah, so we do that.
And how much time are you giving yourself in the recovery times?
In between rounds?
Yeah.
I like to do 45 seconds because you think mental thing. I'm going 45 seconds. I got another 15 seconds of,
recovery.
Yeah,
right.
Usually you feel good at 30. Like, oh, I'm good. I got 30 more seconds. Now to put it to 45. It's like in the fight, you're like, well, because that minute goes fast as hell.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're like talking to your coaches. You might got your bell rung, get stitched, or your eyes fixed, and then you're back up there. So it's I like keeping it 45 seconds. Just keep going because.
Now, here you are. You're 25, right?
26 now.
26. Yep. Champion of the world. When you look at your future, you look at your potential future in the sport. I mean, you could be a gigantic fucking superstar. You have the world is your oyster, right? Like, how do you plan on? Do you have like this sort of master plan for your career?
You know what? My goal was so long to be the world champion, and I grinded towards. I had that goal. I got that goal. I accomplished that, and then it was boom right into the Ultimate Fighter, boom injury, boom fight postponed. So I was like, I haven't been able to really set down because like, well, when you're in training, you're focused on something. For me, I'm a creature of habit. I like routine. So we have just recently now sat down and we've said about it. Everyone can win the champion. Everyone can be a world title. It's what you do with the title. Now I've set these goals to build my legacy. To start going on, and who knows? Who knows what can happen in a year or so. Like I said, I didn't think I was going to be injured. I never thought I'd be out this long.
Right.
This is the most trying time of my life because I couldn't do something that I love to do. I've been in pain and injured and
How
procedures.
long have you been injured for?
man, it's been years. It's been since junior year I started having back problems from football.
Whoa.
And yeah,
Fucking
so
football.
On and off, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
God
football.
damn, fuck
so my uncle
football.
says all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. That damn foosball. And so I've dealt with it, but progressively it was the Henry Briones fight was the fight that I almost pulled out of that fight. That was the first fight I ever pulled out, besides obviously TJ had to postpone it. I couldn't walk, but Sean Shelby gathered wind of Maddox and our story and that he wanted to walk, so I just told him, and my back was like really bad then. So that's when I really started coming on, and then I didn't fight after the Henry fight. I didn't fight for 9 months, 10 months, and then the UFC kept booking me. I fought Augusto Mendez. I was supposed to fight other Brazilian, Lineker. He got sick the week of the fight, replacement, and then fought him, then Almeida, and then it was Mizugaki, then it was Cruz. So I didn't have time to be like really, I just dealt with the pain. Like there was times where I would take 2 weeks off of like really training, doing anything, or it would switch side to be my left side or my right side. So I would go southpaw until that side started to mess up, and I'd switch back to orthodox. Like it was a lot of like sometimes
Working around it.
Working around it because I had to, because the
So you
UFC
went
kept
to
me busy.
Germany, right, for that Regenikine
Yeah.
procedure? And how did that go?
You know what? It felt good. I felt like it took the
Inflammation
away, so it stopped like locking up and
Mhm.
sending the shocks down my leg. But still, I've been doing rehab since, and I've been doing rehab Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and obviously on Tuesday, Thursday, doing my lifting. So I've been doing rehab and getting to become. I feel like a better athlete. I'm moving more, but still, it's like from being constantly in a wrestling stance or a boxing stance, being like that. Now I've re-pried myself open, and it's the muscles around it are still. I just had a little scare a couple weeks ago. We're good. We're moving on from that. I feel way better. My back feels way stronger. I wasn't able to fight July 8th. There's no way. We try to get optimistic about it, going to Germany and thinking that it was, going to heal.
Miracle
miracle shots and.
Well, it maybe would have been if you took more time off. That's the thing. It's like you're a pro athlete, so like you're not just having these procedures and then taking a long time to recover. You're having these procedures and then trying to get back to training pretty quick.
Literally, I had that fight, so I was literally 7 weeks out from when I had the first stem cell.
Yeah.
And they're like, take a month off. I'm like, take 4 weeks off, and then 2 weeks of trying to. So that leaves me with a week and a half to train for my title fight.
Crazy.
Like, you guys understand that?
Yeah, that's insane.
And
it's insane. That doesn't even make sense. So you were October 7th is the fight, right?
November 4th.
November 4th.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Madison Square.
Oh, that's right. Why the fuck did I think? Okay, that makes that makes it
It
interesting.
was rumored, I guess. I mean, I got hit up by a couple of news outlets. I was fighting in October. I'm like,
yeah, that's the Vegas.
Right,
that's
that's
the
the
Vegas
Vegas
card.
card.
Who's on that card?
who is Kevin Lee? I think is fighting.
Oh, that's
Tony
right.
Ferguson.
Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee for the interim 155-pound title.
Yeah.
That whole interim thing is so crazy, right? They just sort of randomly decide when they're going to have interim titles.
How they do that? I remember Dominic Cruz had it for a long time, and they let him keep it for a long time. And there's some guys they just like, all right, you're done.
Yeah.
That's what I was with the whole thing. I said, I'm not rushing back. If you guys want to make an interim title or take the title from me, that's fine. I'm 25 years
Smart.
old. I'm going to get the title back. It's
right.
I got it here. I'm going to get it back if that were to happen.
Right.
So I didn't want anyone to sit. TJ wanted to go down and fight DJ because that was my thing. I texted Sean and Dana because I can make 25. That was my whole game plan was to fight TJ July 8th. I know I got hurt, pulled out, and then I was going to fight DJ in Madison Square Garden. So I was always in my mind was going to fight in November in Madison Square Garden. It's just a different opponent.
Well, somebody's got to fight DJ.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed out that Demetrius decided not to fight TJ.
Yeah, how does that?
I've
I never even knew that was an option. Just to be like, I'm not going to fight.
Well, he said, and I guess his mindset is that he's one fight away from breaking the record of the most title defenses ever. And if TJ went down
at being able to beat up anyone in the world in your weight,
yes,
which is the important thing to think about there.
Yes, it is. But if he lost to TJ and TJ didn't make the weight, it would fuck him up. Like if TJ decided not to, if he couldn't make the weight,
it's a lot of ifs.
There's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, that's a lot of
So
ifs.
he wanted TJ to fight one time at 125.
make sure he can make the weight.
Make sure he can make the weight, and
makes
then
sense.
fight him. I guess it makes sense, but the other thought process is you're the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet. you should be fighting the best fight that you can get.
Yeah.
And that's a really good fight.
Yeah.
It's like Floyd didn't make sure Conor McGregor could make the weight.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they just booked the fight and they
How about
relied
when-
on him as a professional.
How about when John Jones wouldn't fight Chael though?
That's because he hated Chael, though. That was part of it. Was like, fuck this guy. This guy might have a possibility of beating me. He goes, no, I'll do this through a real camp. He goes, I'm not going to come in here and take this on short notice. I don't know, man. I mean, he took the OSP fight on short notice, and it wasn't his best fight. You know, he sort of prides himself on having a long game plan, and
That's his mentality too. Obviously,
Yeah.
you know.
man, this whole thing is so depressing with John.
It is.
I know, man.
Apparently, we're gonna
He was back.
find out soon what's gonna happen with the B sample.
Wow.
You know, but if the B sample tests positive as well, he's kind of doomed. This is
Doomed
not
to
much you
what,
can
though?
do.
What would you be?
4
doing to
years?
that
4
3?
years.
4 years.
It's 4 years.
What's
I
a second
believe.
defense?
I mean, obviously, I'm not the fucking athletic commissioner, USADA, or whoever calls it out, but I think the first one was what? Well, the first one was an out of competition. No, the first one was a tainted supplement, and they gave him a year, right? Didn't they give him a year
Yep.
for
you got a
the
year for
dick
that.
pills? So
Was it really dick pills? What it was?
yeah, they tested the pills. Yeah.
Wasn't there some
Gas
sort of
station-
estrogen blocker or something like
they,
that?
they put those in these estrogen in these
Estrogen
gas
blocker?
station dick pills. Yeah, because they make you excited. They block your estrogen, fill you up with. I mean, look, they could put whatever the fuck they want in those things. They're just trying to get your dick hard. They're not.
Right.
They're not thinking that a world class, world champion professional athlete is taking these.
Gonna go into 7-Eleven and get some dick pills.
I mean,
Oh,
he's a
man.
maniac. But
Yeah.
don't you think, though? I mean, this is what I've always said, that world-class fighters, like professional fighters, are not like any other athlete because they're fucking reckless. They're wild motherfuckers, like Cowboy, like you, like a lot of guys. They are impulsive, reckless, risk-taking people.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I guess that's
Disciplined, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not like that.
professional,
yeah, he's
for
the
sure.
he's a Cali kid, you know.
Yeah, No, you're definitely different, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of different guys in the
Right.
sport, you know, that have, you know, different
Yeah, that's true,
personalities. But a lot of fighters, it's a big percentage that are wild, and John's fucking wild. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you want to get a wild motherfucker like John, who opens up his fight at 23 years old, fighting Shogun for the world title with a flying knee against Shogun. I mean, that's how he opened the fight. That's a wild, impulsive dude. He just feels it and goes with it.
Flow
you know?
state, yeah.
And feels like popping them gas station dick pills. Just like, let's just do this.
Dude, he's redlining it all the time. There's no like, yeah, he's redlining.
Well,
That's
I mean,
funny.
he had all the excuses. You know, the cocaine was just partying, the dick pills, that's more the same. Now, this one, though, is a different thing. This is an actual.
What's he saying?
He's not saying anything. No
He
one's saying
hasn't,
anything.
yeah.
There's
Oh, really?
no official statement.
Talk to my lawyer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they're saying they didn't do anything. You know, that would be the most fucked up thing in the world if somebody slipped some shit into your water, you know, just to get you to test positive. But you got to watch everything you fucking eat. I mean, you always have to think. People definitely do double cross people.
Yeah.
Definitely in this world.
Big time.
There's somebody who would absolutely put something tainted in your food. All they'd have to do is sprinkle a little bit of it in a dish of food. You wouldn't even notice it.
I mean, do you really think that's what happened?
I don't think anything. I don't know anything.
I wonder. I mean, that's true though. I mean, there's some
Oh.
fucking evil people out there. That's one thing I've learned is getting older is like, just being a nice guy. You assume everyone's nice and good,
Right.
and it's like, dude, there's some creepy, negative people out there, man.
It's beautiful when you find nice people because of that, though.
Yeah,
It balances
absolutely.
it out. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
when you know people that you can trust that really are your brother.
Yeah.
That's like, that makes it all the more. Like, if everybody was cool, you wouldn't necessarily appreciate cool people as much.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool
that's.
people everywhere. Where's all
Yeah.
the douches?
He would get mad. Like, I need an enemy.
Yeah, I need
You know?
someone to hate. I need someone to beat up.
That is. Have you ever fought somebody that you really liked?
I fought a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Who'd you fight that you really liked, Uriah?
I liked Charlie Valencia, Brian Bowles. I liked Scotty Jorgensen. I liked Eddie Wineland.
So you're friends with those guys.
I like Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
I was friends with all those guys.
Weird, right?
I could say probably one.
Yeah.
Who?
Mizugaki, just because he didn't speak English.
Right.
It's Cody.
Yeah, that's honestly, I was like, man, he's like,
But Cody from the get go, he goes, "Hey man, I know you're cool to your opponents and everything, but I like intensity. I like a fire. Like people say that he's got a temper and everything. He's like, no, he's fighting this guy. He's getting that mentality. That's part of what he likes.
Yeah.
Right. My thing is, I will I whip your ass, or you whip my ass. I'm always gonna show you respect after, like, hey, you know, it's good. I remember that when I got signed, I fought Marcus Brimage, and I don't like shaking my opponent's hand before the fight. I never like that. I never like glove touching any of that. And Marcus, I saw him a couple times in the hotel. He's like, "What's up, man?" Like, oh my God, man, like cool, man. Like, good to see you Saturday. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I told him before weigh-ins, I was like, hey, go on stage and like, hey, I don't want to shake your hand out there. Don't make me look like a dick. Like if I go to
Right.
He's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, right on, man. I said, I got respect for you. Let's put on a show. And I'm like walking away. I'm like, all right. And he like shook his hand out there. And I was like, in my mind, like I was like, oh, so I shook it again. I remember coming back to Buckles, was like, fuck, he got me again with the handshake. Like, so I just
he
don't.
probably didn't even realize his
Exactly.
nerves and
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
shit.
And plus, someone's come up to you like, hey, I don't want to shake your hand. Let's fight. But
How about they throw Brimage against Notorious and against No Love, man?
Tough
death wish
times
for that guy.
It's because he wears that thing.
Yeah, that's
You
why.
catch him wearing
That's
that goggles.
it.
So like, what is
Shouldn't
that
have
thing
worn
you're
the
wearing?
goggles.
What are you doing? You in a video game? The post-fight press conference, I had a lot of respect for Dominic Cruz, the way he handled that.
Yeah.
Because he had no excuses. Like, took it like a man.
Yeah.
He's like, he was a better man. He beat me. I got no excuses. There's nothing I could say.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
grown up a
out
lot.
that-
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely we've had our differences and still might not. He still has me blocked on Instagram and Twitter.
Does
but-
he?
Oh, man.
No!
He went and talked shit on my wife's photo and then blocked me. I'm like, this motherfucker.
Oh,
Hey,
my
tell him about when you were doing the you were gonna
Bro,
do an interview.
straight up. I'm like, you blocked me? Like, dude.
And Cody was trying to be cool to him on doing like some interview, and Dom was trying to needle Cody, and Cody's like, "This."
I didn't even know what was going on, what was happening. I was doing the Fox for the Ultimate Fighter, and it was obviously Karen Bryant asked about me grabbing TJ by his throat. I'm like, yeah, he goes. And me and Dominic got into altercation at weigh-ins at 207. I literally come out, I'm just weighed in. I had my hands full with all the paperwork bullshit they give us, and George gave me all these waters and refuel stuff. So I come out of the door and I cross paths with Dominic, who I didn't even register it was him, but at my peripheral, I catch something. And I kind of like turn back around, and he was like, had these chick sunglasses on, like these big chick sunglasses, yeah, and his hood up, and he was like, get out of here, you skinny little motherfucker. And I was like, well, I was like, dude, we're fighting tomorrow, man. I was like, so good. I was just laughing, like, really? Like, he wants to do it now? But it was the first time we saw each other. And the day before, we were in this split room, this much, and we're talking shit to each other on a camera. I'm like, we can't do, like, sit down, obviously, like that. And he has Jeremy Stevens in there.
Right.
And I'm like, man, and Stevens like, yeah, little boy, like, talking, like, just riding off of Dom's hype, or off Dom. Like, he brought in a self-proclaimed savage and Jeremy Stevens, like the counterbalance that I was portraying to be a savage. That's what he kept saying. I'm like,
Right.
like I was like, I'll come over and smack both of you guys right now. I took my earpiece off. I ran through the security, and then he was saying I was throwing shit. It just the whole build up. So we finally saw each other, and I was like, man, I was like, I'll be in your ass tomorrow, like walking off, like I'm just hiding. And I see Jeremy Stevens right out here. He's like all puffed up. He's like, you're too small, little dude. He's like, give me one of your teammates. And I was like, dropped all my shit and get ready to hit him like that. And Ali, my manager, comes out of nowhere, swoops Jeremy up, but he grabbed me, like he scratched my neck, had a big old scratch on it from his nail, his little bitch nail, and like, so it was that, and then that whole conflict. So he gets on Skype, or not Skype, Fox Sports.
Cody's about to do an interview on Skype.
About the situation of Tough. Karen Bryant asked that,
Right.
and he's like, he's like, and he's just a little dick. He just, whatever. He respect him for what he did. He's because he knows that. I always said that he knew what he had to do in that media for people not to hate him. Look how Conor and Rousey sometimes they change a little bit after he lost. He took his humble pie, and hey, respect him for that. But I knew deep down that wasn't.
He's got
it was
some,
all
some
cherries.
turmoil in there.
Exactly, it has to be. I dance all over his ass. You know what I mean? He's a great fighter. I embarrassed him. So,
be honest, how did it really go?
Yeah,
I'm
like I
just
said.
messing with you.
Oh, so I come on, and I'm completely cool. Like, respect him. Like, hey, hats off. Tough dude. We talked after. I was like, yeah, that guy's
Right.
tough. Like, I've been pictured in this. And we come on, and he's like, hey, you're getting joined by Dominic. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, that's cool. Like,
Right.
like it has to be brief that it says we're professionals. Like, okay. So he goes on about that. He's like, yeah, you ever been choked up at weigh-ins? And if so, what would you do? And I'm like, really thinking about this. I'm like, well, hopefully I would be professional enough to, keep my composure and know that I'm gonna whoop this dude's ass tomorrow. And then he's like, huh, like just being a smart ass on there. He's like, huh. He's like, so you didn't mean to tell me you've never been choked up And then it dawned on me. And I was like, oh, are you talking about when you brought your self-proclaimed hype man in and scratched my neck with his little bitch nail? And he's like, no. And I was like, hey, Dominic. I said, what happened in the fight? I said, I danced around you and beat your ass and made you look like a fool. I said, sit behind the desk and shut up. And then it was like, and then
this is
black
all.
screen.
This doesn't go on Skype. This is all just a private conversation.
Private conversation. It goes black screen. The producers come on. We're like, we're sorry how Dominic was acting. Like this and that. I'm like, dude, like I don't mind coming on here and doing this shit, but the first thing I said, hey, Dominic, how are you? And I was like, oh, I was just waiting for Dominic to say hi. And he started off that. He goes, I don't got to say hi to you. I'm talking to you in a couple minutes. And I was like,
oh, God.
What a fucking biatch.
Well, you guys are probably going to fight again if Dom stays in the game.
Yeah.
So we had to redo the whole situation again. And he was just sitting there like, because they were like, we're telling. Yeah. I was like, man, like, that's cool. So that's why I wanted the rematch with him. So honestly, TJ should thank Dom for not taking the rematch and finally getting his shot. So that's why after the fight I said, TJ,
what's
come try
Dom
me.
doing these days? I know he has plantar fasciitis.
Right.
He's got some serious issues with his feet because he came back real quick after the knee surgery and maybe pushed it a little too hard. That's a tough one. I mean, that's why his feet were all taped up.
He's doing a lot of commentary.
When he fought TJ. Yeah.
He's probably getting decent money for that.
I talked to his coach. They're gonna try to get, me and TJ wasn't scheduled, but he was trying to fight on the same card or around and about, so it keeps in the transition.
Who do you think they have? Who do you think would be a good fight for him to fight?
For Dominic? It's a good question.
What about Rivera?
Very good fight. That's a very good fight. But I think doesn't Jimmy have a fight? I think Jimmy Rivera.
He just beat the dude that you knocked out.
Oh, he fought Almeida.
Right.
He beat Almeida. I think he dropped him a couple times.
That was a good fight.
Yeah.
That was a very good fight. That's right. He beat Almeida, but I feel like he has another fight lined up. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was that fight I'm thinking of. I don't know. The day before the fight, like hype before the fight, is always so interesting, man. See how people react, see where their head's at. Like when Conor came out with a hard-on against Floyd. What is he doing? Is he fucking wearing a rubber band around his dick and balls just to get it hard, or is he playing with himself before he gets out there?
A couple shakes before he gets on for the flex.
Because his fucking dick was half hard when he's standing there.
That
Unless he has
hilarious.
a giant hog, and that's just what it looks like when it's limp. But it literally looked like it was half hard when he's standing there at the weigh-ins.
Dude, I heard that's something
Irish
that happens. No, I know. I've seen a couple other guys. I think Miguel.
Just staring at dicks at weigh-ins.
A couple other guys had that same thing. I think it's like an involuntary thing that happens when you're like hungry or something. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, when I'm hungry and starving,
it's like a survival. We have to get real creative on the physical anthropology of why you get a hard on when you're fucking about to get in a confrontation. Maybe you're gonna fight over a female out in the nature and fucking
maybe it was such a weird
primal instincts
confrontation too, with Conor screaming and yelling at him and Floyd just standing there, literally like not a worry in the world. It was interesting how Floyd handled it.
Yeah,
he didn't have a worry in the world.
We're seeing that. See how he's composed, because you don't know.
Yeah,
he's so composed.
50-0, man. 50-0. I'd say that he was the only guy to ever reach that and break that record. But apparently there was some other guy that had fought in a really light weight that made 51-0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that I didn't even know. I thought
they were
talking
about
that
what's
Rocky
his name?
Marciano
Who he beat?
was the record.
Rocky Marciano.
I always thought that was the record.
What about Chavez? Wasn't he like up there before he got defeated?
It's a good question, but he didn't retire with
it.
He
didn't retire undefeated, right?
I
think he was like 6 years.
Yeah, Ricardo Lopez. Yeah, he was atom weight, I think. What weight was he? Does it say? Light flyweight. Oh. Yeah. What is that? What is light flyweight? Minimum weight. Jesus, minimum weight. What the fuck is minimum weight? But Ricardo Lopez,
110 maybe.
I believe he retired at 51-0.
Oh, he retired
somewhere around that range. Does it say?
One draw.
Yeah. Oh, he had a draw. 51 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. Okay.
The 1 draw.
Yeah, the 1 draw is it's so funny. Like people worry about that shit. It's so weird.
Oh man.
That's one thing about MMA fighters as opposed to boxers. Like with a boxer, it was always undefeated record. Yeah. That's such a big selling point in the the culture. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense though, because I mean, you're trying to make a case that no one could. There's something intriguing about somebody that no one could ever beat this person.
But the difference between MMA and boxing, though, is in MMA you're tested way more on your way up to the title. I mean, you're fighting world-class fighters pretty quickly as soon as you start getting good.
Zero, yeah.
Whereas in boxing, you're taken care of, and your record gets padded, and you're slowly worked up to a world-class fighter if you have a good manager.
Maybe 15 to 20 fights, and you're trying to maybe start fighting some okay people, especially with you're getting
Do you think
pushed.
that's the way to do it?
No, with those guys, no, because a lot of those boxers have had 300-400 amateur fights where they
Right.
fought. Like, they don't need groomed into that. Maybe to get out of the shoe shining amateur style, but amateur style is switching. With the headgear getting taken away, it's more. It's set up in the point system how it's changing.
Yeah.
With the Olympics, taking the headgear off and how they're changing all that. So they're coming more professional, setting stuff up, not that pitter patter shit, shoe shine. That's how it's been. But I don't think they need to be like that. But I think in boxing, it's a huge record. It's like, he's 37-0 with 28 knockouts.
It's a weird gig. I mean, I guess the difference with the UFC is UFC's always had a reputation of putting the best fighters against the best fighters, which I think has gone away a little bit. I mean, they still make sure you got tested.
Do you think it's gone away?
I don't think it's gone away. I think what they try to do is have even matchups, because there's like a Ricci and what's his name who's fighting Alvarez, for example. They just want to see that fight. I mean, they're both very tough guys. It could be, champion and
You mean
maybe
Gaethje and Alvarez?
Gaethje,
Okay.
yeah.
Justin
Ricci.
Gaethje.
Yeah, but they want to see matchups. But they do that all the way down. Like, they're not trying to set up mismatches.
Right.
They're trying to get it more evenly
Right.
matched. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that there aren't guys that they could set up with mismatches within the thing. And
Well, you
do on
very
occasion.
rarely see a guy get a tune-up fight. Where in boxing, it's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
boxing, guys get tune-up fights, and you even call them a tune-up fight.
Yeah.
Like he's
Get
getting a
paid.
tune-up fight before the big match.
Yeah.
And they go in there and they fight a guy that's not expected to win, and then they get set
draw.
up for the next fight. But it tunes them up, gets them sharp, and then they have the world championship fight.
I mean, that happens to get into the UFC a lot, though.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot.
For me, I have over half of my professional fights are in the UFC. I got signed at 5-0, and so half my fights have been in the UFC against UFC's obviously you can say the premier organization with the toughest fighters.
It's not even close, but it's getting close now. When you look at what Bellator is doing,
Right.
I mean, right now, it's UFC is always going to be the top of the food chain. It's always like the premier organization as far as the public knows.
Right.
But as far as the quality of talent, Bellator at least finally has Rory McDonald. They finally have
they're growing their own
Lorenz.
homegrown talent also.
They
Right.
are as well. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, getting Gegard Mousasi, world class guys, like legitimately.
Yeah.
With pay.
Yeah, I mean, Rory has a victory over Tyron Woodley and a victory over Damon Maia. So he had a victory over the 1 and number 2 guys.
It's interesting you just mentioned Rory. We can go back to what we were talking about with training. Rory, I mean, that's a guy who he's a strange character. And like, I wonder what goes on what's his motivation for fighting and what started him, etc. But I saw him do an interview about his training. He's like, I talked about coaches making you do shit, and you're just like, do whatever the coach says. He was like, look, I've been doing what all the coaches say. He's like, I keep getting hurt. I keep doing this and that. He goes, I'm gonna take things into my own hands a little bit more. He's a guy that did that, but he's having a lot of friggin' success too.
Yeah, dude, he looked like a fucking world killer when he beat Paul Daly.
Yeah.
Dude, he looked perfect.
Paul
he fought
Daly's
a perfect
a
fight.
savage too,
He
man.
is. He is. That's going to be an interesting fight. Paul Daly and Lorenz Larkin.
Oh yeah,
Ooh, that's a
explosive,
crazy
dude.
fight.
I like
Lorenz,
Larkin's style.
Super
Side
skillful.
kicks.
Yeah.
And all, just how his
Larkin's
kicks
no longer in the UFC.
Nope. Lorenz Larkin just fought Douglas Lima for the title. He lost a 5-round decision.
Yep.
Very close fight. Very good fight. Douglas Lima is another one. That guy is world class. I mean, he's right up there with anybody in the world at 170, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's been around for a while too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what pisses me off is Ben Askren still fighting over in ONE FC. Like, Jesus Christ. I am the number one
he just
guy
retired.
saying,
Just don't say
yeah,
retired.
he's out of his retirement fight. That's it. It drives me crazy. He should have been in the UFC a long time ago. I always wanted to see that guy
Well,
fight
he
in
just
the UFC.
pissed off Dana, and his style was weird, right?
The style was weird. That's one thing, but pissing off Dana was ultimately the end of
Yeah.
it all. I mean,
He was talking some serious shit on Dana.
I
Dana's
couldn't
like-
help it.
Dana's like,
Yeah,
Nah,
it's too
fuck you,
bad.
get outta here.
It's too bad, really. It's too
Right.
bad.
Just to
I
see
would.
how he mixed up with those guys.
Fuck yeah, I would have loved to see that guy fight the best in the world in the UFC. And we'll never know now. It's really unfortunate.
yeah. He made some decent money over there in one UFC.
I hope he did. He's just a fucking phenomenal grappler, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and here's a perfect example. That guy destroyed Larkin on the ground. Or it's not Larkin, Lima. Destroyed him on the ground.
Yeah.
Destroyed Korshkov on the ground. Just manhandled those dudes. Got a hold of those guys. Was ragdolling fools. Just throwing them around like that. unorthodox, weird wrestling style. I wanted to see
Dude,
him fight the best
He's
guys.
a funk. Yeah, you know who would have been a terrible matchup for is George St. Pierre. Because George always,
Solid.
he starts hitting his nice little shots, but he always ends up getting the nice takedown. But what's he going to do in grappling against Askren? That would have been a good one. That's the one I always wanted to see, too.
Well, that got him in trouble with Johnny Hendricks, right? But Johnny Hendricks was a different Johnny Hendricks back then.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Pre-USADA.
Dude, USADA's great. Hey, you know what I do?
changing lives, bro.
I stay that's one of the things that makes me want to get back into it is now that USADA's in there. I still have USADA test me just in case there's an opportunity that pops up.
Do you really?
Yeah, they pop in all the time.
You look like you weigh about $160 right now. What do you weigh?
$160.
Do you think you could get down
Fuck
to 135?
up anyone in the world? Absolutely. That's my shit.
Still got it.
Come
Still
on.
in there.
He'll come in and he does practices with us and teach us shit. We'll always give him a hard time. Like, he still got it. He still got it.
Hey, I'm
Yeah, he's.
Do you think that you're retired or are you like kind of retired?
I'm retired.
Mostly retired.
I'm retired. I'm definitely retired, but I'm not. First off, I love to fight. That's the hard thing about retiring is it takes so much time, energy, and there's so much to learn that I'm definitely a better fighter when I retired than I was when I was like in my prime even.
Yeah.
As far as skill set goes.
Right.
But like there's a lot of skill guys out there and it's just like a focus thing and a motivation thing. Like
so you wish that USADA was there your entire career?
Oh God, are you kidding me? Hell
Did
yes.
you ever feel any temptation when you knew that so many guys were using shit?
Dude, I had a couple people sit down and try to talk me into it before.
What did they try to talk you into?
Just like, hey, like everybody's doing it, and this and that, blah
EPO.
blah.
Some dick
No,
pills.
I didn't EPO. I forget what.
doing it.
Somebody had talked to me about it, and I had a coach a long time ago that was like, "Hey, everybody," and I'm like, "No, I don't think so." I take a lot of pride in the fact that I had my career, and I'm like oblivious. I'm like like when you're not in the circle, you're definitely not in the circle.
Yeah, they don't tell you about what they're doing.
They don't want to tell you, everything else. So I take a lot of pride in the fact that, and I teach to my guys. And that's one of the conversations I had with Cody. I'm like, bro, no, we don't need any of that shit, dude. That's all mental. It's a mental thing. The problem is, the difference is when you have someone that's strong mentally, that is like a scientist on himself and also has all the attributes, then it matters, right?
Right. But when you get a guy who's a world-class fighter and then on top of that, they take some shit.
And then they have
that's the mentality,
right?
That everybody's doing it mentality is what allows like champions to do it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
This champion never did it.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
I mean,
all right, gents, let's wrap this bitch up.
Let's do it.
Right.
Good luck, man. Can't wait to see you, Madison Square Garden. That's November
4th.
November 4th. That's a big fucking
Huge
venue.
fight.
There's a historic venue, man. That's going to be amazing.
Fireworks.
Uriah Faber's Ultimate Fitness, Sacramento, California. Uriah Faber on Twitter and Instagram, and Cody, you're on Twitter and Instagram and all that shit too. Thank you, gentlemen. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right.
Adios.
See you guys.